All right. And there goes my wonderful, lovely, lovely wife. She's going upstairs to leave me alone forever. Just kidding. Hey, everybody. Johnny O from the Plot Hole here. Couple of quick announcements. Yes, we had a very interesting developing story. Thank you, Nerd Angle. I appreciate it. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be a couple of things that people are going to, be a little upset about. So, mods, let the side chat kind of have their way a little bit. Now, no abuse of other people. That's not what we're here. We're here to talk about the situation, the goings on. I've got Nate the lawyer with me. He and I are going to kind of go over our investigation into this whole business. So if you have questions, super chats are great. Tag the mods, tag myself. We'll do the best we can to get those answered as best we can. So that being said, let me get Nate the lawyer in here, and let's see, boom, and there he is.
Yo, what's going on, Johnny O?
It's been a very, very interesting past, we'll say, 72 hours.
I've been speaking to you more than I've been speaking to my mama. That's how much we've been talking all the time now. What's going on, man?
Yeah, it's been an interesting, like I said, it's been an interesting turn of events. Now, I got a line on this during the whole Sean Hufford situation. Now, I know you've been kind of on this one as well, at least passively, if not actively, when I started on this one.
Yeah.
Not to try and take any kind of steam away from anybody, because there's a lot of people that put a lot of work and effort into this. So I caught wind of this one here with some actual credible sources. Now, granted, I had heard some things from other content creators and stuff that, a lot of things that I couldn't prove, a lot of things that, it wasn't until, you and I started putting the pressure on Ilya that we started to make some real headway. Yeah.
Now, one thing I think maybe a lot of people in the community don't understand it. This was a true team effort, right?
Right.
It was a team effort between me, you, Fight the Flat Earth, Unirock and his crew. Like, we all everybody played a role in developing this story, which I think was an exceptional piece of. It shows you that one thing, even though we all have our differences, when we do have a common cause of something that's actually wrong, like faking cancer or something like that, people will kind of put those differences aside and work together for the common goal. And I think that's kind of what this is a testament to, because again, we all really had nothing at the beginning. But all of us all working together in our lanes got to a conclusion that we finally found out what the truth was. Does that make sense?
Right. Absolutely. Now, the biggest piece of evidence that came out when everything was kind of ramping up, and Ilya put out that invoice on, she updated the GoFundMe with that invoice.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of people that were saying, she released the receipts. Good deal, whatever.
Yeah.
I went to a confidant of mine and said, hey, I believe you, but man, how can I prove it? And she said, she pointed out a lot of different things in there. Says, look at this. And when I first saw that invoice, it didn't look right. It did not look like any medical bill that I'd ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just kind of chalked it. Well, maybe it's, small hospital or whatever, maybe they do things a little different. And then I looked into the hospital. It's not a small hospital at all.
No.
And then I started really looking into that invoice, and man, shit just did not add up. And that's when I contacted you again and said, hey, what about this invoice looks right to you?
Yeah, and we had already gotten an issue with it. Now, I got to say, before the invoice came out, Fight, because the happenings about the first little invoices, we need to find out if the money was paid. Fight had pushed for a receipt on his end. So Fight the Flat Earth, for those you don't know, was pushing for a receipt from Ilya, and she had received the receipt, but it was totally redacted. Like, everything was redacted, and
Right.
I had already told them that we're not going to accept receipts where we can't, at least call the place and find out if this receipt is good. You can't give them just a blank piece of paper and say it's a receipt. So she actually unredacted the name of the hospital. Well, actually, now we know, put the name of the hospital in there.
Right.
But she supposedly unredacted the name of the hospital. And when she gave us that, then obviously, I think you got it. And your first thing you said was, we got to call the hospital.
Yeah.
I remember that. You were like, I'm going to call the hospital. I was like, oh.
Call the hospital, figure it out.
And I was like, well, I was already going to call them. Remember, we had that little talk about who was going to call the hospital because we had the same idea as soon as we saw it, right?
Yeah. Let's see if this is a real. Let's see if this even. All I was going to do was say, hey, can you send me an invoice, any kind of blank invoice or whatever, you know what I mean? Just something so I can compare notes and see if this looks legitimate. Obviously, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was interesting because we were actually in communication all that time with the hospital about the whole hospital thing because we were DMing each other back, and I was like,
right.
and so just so everybody knows, I was using Johnny O as kind of like, you know, he was the person who's helped me evaluate the evidence just to let us know what we got, you know, what people were saying, and then how to kind of move forward with what we had and what it actually meant, because that's what we were doing. We were bouncing ideas off each other. And one of the more interesting pieces of it was after I called the hospital. I took a different tact. I said, well, listen, I just want you to verify the receipt, right? And this was, and I took that tact because I didn't want to violate HIPAA. I didn't want any of this woman's personal information. But she put this receipt out there. And the only thing I was asking the hospital was this a real receipt? That was it. It wasn't about her thing. It's just, was this a real receipt? Was this something you guys put out? And obviously, they said no. They were like major issues with it. So, and that's what sent us on this journey.
Right. So yeah, that right there was the best bit, and that's kind of what pushed Ilya into, you know, coming out when it got out that the authorities were notified.
Yeah.
That pressure and the pressure that, you know, Fight the Flat Earth and Red's Rhetoric were putting on her, and whatnot. I don't want to overstate or understate Red's position in all this. I haven't seen any evidence that I would take to authorities. So again, if it's there, it'll be found. That's one thing that people need to understand with this whole business. I believe that the Tennessee police are investigating the Ilya Moon situation.
Mm-hmm.
And if they find out that there was something going on, they're going to do a deep dive, right?
Yeah.
They're going to really look at her financials and, you know, all that business. They're going to get right up in that. She is going to be very uncomfortable for a very, very long time. And if they find something, if there's something there to be found, they'll find it and it'll come out.
Oh yeah.
So I think what we all need to do now, this is not any kind of apologetics or any kind of anything for Red's Rhetoric, because I think if he is guilty in any of this, he needs to be held accountable, as we are asking that Ilya and Sean and anybody else who commits fraud are held accountable.
Yeah.
I think what we need to do with the whole Red situation is back off a little bit and see what happens with this Ilya Moon investigation.
Yeah. I think the problem with Red, the problem now is that there are too many poison fruits coming from the same tree.
Right.
And the one tree is Red's Rhetoric. You have the Ilya Moon issue, right? He was the one getting all the information. He was the one vouching, right? On his good word, Ilya Moon is good. Now we know she wasn't. On his good word, Sean Hufford was good. Now we know it wasn't good. On his good word, Bullionator's fundraiser was good. You know, you got me twice. Now the third one I want to look into. Now I want to actually see receipts. Now I want to go through all this stuff. Now I just want to be, you know, maybe he may be totally innocent. Everything may be on an up and up, but I can't trust that now, right? Because the trust is gone. The first time I can still have trust. Second time, there is no trust, right? I'm not going to be fooled the third time. Now, again, I want to make it very clear. I'm not saying there's any evidence of any other wrongdoing in any other fundraiser, right? That I couldn't personally give you guys facts and evidence to prove. But I'm just saying the reason why you ask for receipts, the reason why you ask for transparency is so when you find things like this that have happened, we're now just saying, let's hold the person accountable for the other things that they may have done. And again, he may not have done anything wrong, anything, you know, that is out of the ordinary for these other fundraisers. But right now, the only thing we have is his good word. And we see where that has gotten us already.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason why this is a really shitty situation. Because let's say, just for the sake of argument, again, this is just for the sake of argument. I know people are going to try and take this out of context, but I don't give a fuck. Just for the sake of argument, let's say that everything with the Bullionator fundraiser and everything with that whole situation is 100% on the up and up.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Everything is good. They have every dollar accounted for. The simple fact that we have two huge this isn't a little bit of money. This isn't like, $100 here, $200 there. This is, we're talking 15 big ones. That's a lot of money that all of a sudden that's going to throw everything into question. So people who are upset about certain members of this community or certain non-members of this community questioning the Billionaire fundraiser, I'm sorry, but that's what happens when two huge fundraisers are fraudulent.
Yeah, and we can't have the excuses. And the first excuse was you're attacking a guy when he's down for Sean Hufford. Look, you're attacking a guy while he's down. Come to find out, he's eating Grubhub every night, supposedly for like $4,000 a month or something like that, some ridiculous number. Then you talk about Ilya Moon. Hey, all the receipts are wrong. She maybe not have cancer, and now you're attacking a cancer patient. Now you go to the Bulls thing. Now the excuse is, oh, let him bet. It's like, what? No, hold on. Every time it becomes personal instead of just business. And again, and I think two things have happened when it comes to these fundraisers in our community. Number one, they were abused. We can just clearly say there was abuse started to happen. And I think on the second end of this is that now we just have to kind of figure out some ways so this abuse doesn't happen again, because these things happened a year ago. So I'm just not going to be the one that's going to be confident that from last year all the way till today, there's not been any other suspect fundraisers, right? So instead of looking back now, we're going to look to the future, because people are going to still need help, and we're going to want to still help our own. But now we need to do it in a more responsible way, and that's what I'm advocating for moving forward.
And then that's what that's kind of what I would like to see, right? So this really does put people off on holding fundraisers. And I totally get it. But there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it. As long as you are 100% transparent with everything. There are ways you can set up fundraisers, right? Like going forward, if somebody wants to set up a fundraiser for mental health abuse victims, and there's a specific charity for that, instead of saying, hey, send us the money, and then, here's a link, send them the money. Just directly donate. So much simpler. Or you can have, if it is for somebody's hospital bills or whatever, you can have somebody who is an executor who is completely excluded from both sides, from anybody, as who's there to do a specific job, to take funds and write the checks to whoever the checks need to be written to. That way there's a paper trail. All the money goes to this one person, and this one person has the ledger. And if anything, if there's any kind of discrepancy with the numbers, then boom, we know who did it. Yeah. So,
no, I agree 110%, and that I think that's something that we need to install. Like maybe only, and just having some best practices, right? Using GoFundMe, having particular receipts, making sure there's something. Maybe have a third person do the auditing instead of having the self audits. You can't use PayPal anymore, so nobody can see it. Things like that, I think, would just be some good house cleaning. So if people now want to go, it's going to be harder for people to kind of manipulate the system if we have a system in place. But right now, there is no system in place. And I also want to say this too. We have to also be a little bit more skeptical about our own, because this scam was built on trust. Trust, and that trust now has been eroded. So I think it may be for the better, because it may then not allow bad actors to infiltrate and abuse that trust in the future. You know what I mean?
Right. So getting back to the Ilya Moon thing, there were so many just glaring discrepancies.
Oh yeah.
So when she first, this whole, well, Ilya Moon isn't me. Get the fuck out of here.
The Ilya Moon. Moon. I mean, that was so funny.
Jesus Christ. No, that's not me. I know I live in Tennessee, but this other person lives in Tennessee too, but we're not the same person, even though we have almost the exact same name.
Yeah. Oh, and same dental procedure, saying all this. Yeah. Around the same time, in the same state.
Right.
It was like, but that's not me. That's just not me. That's somebody else.
I mean, this person was screaming to get caught.
No, but this person had, the one thing this person had was I hate to keep bringing his name up. She had somebody screaming that she was innocent. That's true. This was not just some chump in the community. This is the biggest name in the community for these debunkers, and he was saying she's legit. Trust him. Trust his good name. right? That's hard to overcome. Fight the flat earth trusted it, and until he was actually confronted with the evidence. When he's confronted with the evidence, he had to then kind of sit back and say, what am I going to trust my eyes? Am I going to trust what these people are telling me? And to his credit, he did push back and say, no, I got to trust, I can't ignore the fake stuff on these invoices, because like the duplicate invoices on the one invoice.
Right.
Well, that's a copy and paste error. We all know it's a copy. As soon as you said it, you was like, oh, they copy and pasted, right?
Yeah.
And you knew at that point in time that invoice was fake.
Yes. I mean, just looking at it, when I first saw it, it looked wrong. Everything about it looked wrong. And everybody was saying, oh, hey, this is that. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. She provided it. It's good. Let's move on. Like, no. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. And we need to take a deeper look at this, because this is just wrong.
Yeah.
And on a similar note, now there are people in this community that had been pointing this out for a long time. And I'm not talking about UniRock. I'm not talking about myself. I'm not talking about, there are some people that were in this community that have been pointing out the manipulative nature of Ilya Moon, the outright lies that she has been spouting for a long time. And these people, these members of our community, were ostracized. They were downright bullied off of platforms, off of social media. They were effectively, well, I won't say effectively canceled, but they were pretty much canceled.
Oh yeah. Like one time I remember she had said that I think Dragnot's Discord had sent her death threats, and that she was getting death threats. And then when somebody asked her, well, can we see the death threats? She said, oh no, I erased them overnight. I erased them immediately. And like, what? If you, what are you talking about? You send those to the cops. Don't just erase them, And
here's the thing. You're the person that sends out fucking NDAs to everybody when you show them, a copy of your fucking library card.
Yeah, come on.
You erase death threats. Get the fuck out of here. There was a lot of manipulation going on. And again, a lot of these members of the community who were doing these things, they are owed apologies by a lot of people.
Yes.
You know who you are, and you know exactly who I'm talking about. So, I mean, the ball's in your court. Do the right thing. Eat that crow. Apologize, and then let's move on. Yeah. That being said, good.
No, I was going to say amen to that. And I think one of the things that I always say when you're investigating these scams is the simplest questions usually get the most complex answers.
Right.
And that's exactly what this kind of fell out into, right? The simplest question for the hospital was, can you verify this receipt? Hell no. We think it's a fraud, right? As soon as we heard that, it's like, what the hell? And then
it does not look like any receipt that we would have put out.
No, matter of fact, to most people, and this is the part that I was even holding back for if I was going to get another interview, is that they said they don't even bill that way for chemo. They said they don't even bill.
Okay, like hang on a second. First, let's back this fucking truck up. The fact that she said that 2,500 and then 4,000 and then 6,000 was going to be enough for osteosarcoma treatment.
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That's like free in the United States. That's like just saying it's free.
Yeah, that's like saying, hey, just whatever, just whatever. We'll give it to you right now and put you on a little teeny tiny payment. Fucking, I mean, that. And then all the fact that she had cancer, osteosarcoma, which for anybody who doesn't know what osteosarcoma is, that's bone cancer. That shit's fucking lethal.
Yeah.
It's not something you get on a weekend, go in for surgery, and then oops, I'm done. No, it's intense. It's especially if it's in your jaw. It's intense.
You got eating issues and all other stuff. But again,
Roger Ebert lost his fucking jaw because of it.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, this person, it seems to have a manipulative nature about her, and I feel bad because I understand there's probably a lot of her friends in this chat, just wondering what happened, and I'm feeling that hurt and that pain. But this person, let's not forget, this person was lying, just like Sean was lying for almost a year, right? And even till maybe up to a couple of days ago, this person wasn't just telling simple lies. This person was saying that they were being slandered. They're going to court. You're attacking a cancer victim, knowing that she never had cancer, knowing that this was all true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's what irritated me the most about this. I gave her all the rope in the world. And every time I would talk to her, there was that little bit of manipulation that would happen.
Yeah.
And then she would make that little manipulation became a little bit bigger and then a little bit bigger. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, fucking hell, Jesus Christ. I get it. Your life sucks. Fuck me running. But what do you want me to do about it? It's just her pretending to have cancer does not surprise me in the least bit.
No, it kind of shocked me though. I'm not gonna pretend like it didn't shock. Like when I like even
Okay,
when I got
let me
her
clarify
even,
that. Let me
when I got
clarify
her to
that.
confess, I was kind of like shook. I was like, damn, she
Yeah.
gave this up. But go ahead.
I want to clarify this for you. I wanted, this is going to sound really shitty. I wanted her to have cancer. Okay. For the simple fact that she said that she had cancer.
Yeah.
These stories, and we talked about this in the background, but these stories suck.
Yeah.
Everybody loses.
Yeah.
Because we're called out for while you're attacking a cancer victim. Well, I'm not attacking a cancer victim. I'm standing up for all the other cancer victims who really went through this shit. For all the other people who had to watch their loved ones fucking wither away before them because of cancer.
Yeah.
And this is what pisses people off the most. To go out there and make up this fucking lie that, I had cancer. Knowing what cancer does to people, knowing what it does to families and relationships. That's fucked.
Yeah. And knowing that pulled on people's heartstrings to
Yes.
give money. You know, there's a couple of people out there who probably didn't have the $5-10 to give or whatever, but said, God damn, she's going through cancer.
She's going through cancer. Yeah. I'll willing to put what I believe about her aside. She's got cancer. Let me go ahead and, put out some money.
Exactly. Yeah. Let me just do something for her, because we all know how it is. And the fact that to keep the lie alive and again, to submit false documents and all this other stuff. It's just like, a lot of times, like I know with the Sean Humphrey thing, we even argued about intent a little bit, but here I think you can really make a good intent argument. I think this is a little different situation because
this is blatant intent.
You think so?
I mean, this one here, hey, I'm going to tell people I have cancer to gain sympathy donations. Yeah, that is a blatant intent to defraud people.
But so what? Why do you think she gave it up though? Because you heard when she gave it up to me.
It was damage control. She knows she's in trouble. She knows she's probably going to go to jail for this one. Now there's nothing that anybody can do to stop that one except her.
Yeah.
And the only thing that she's going to be able to do is plea out. But the fact, here's another thing that I don't think she's talked to an attorney. I don't think she has a lawyer.
No, I don't think so.
Because if she had a lawyer and then she went out and gave that confession to Reds and Fight,
and anyway, the lawyer should be fired. The lawyer should be fired.
Her lawyer should be fucking shit canned. Yeah. I mean, just all out. Boom. Get the fuck out.
No lawyer would tell you to go confess in public to your crimes. No lawyer would say that.
No, because now all this stuff here it's all out there. Hey guys, she doesn't have a problem with it. Here it is. Boom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And actually, there's a rule for usually when you make statements outside of court, it's not allowed in court because of a hearsay. You guys probably hearsay was an out of court statement or for the truth of the matter asserted in court. But there's an exception to the hearsay rule in both federal and state courts, and that's what they call the party appointed admission. So if you're a party or a defendant if you're a defendant in court and you make statements outside of court, those statements can be brought into court to challenge you, right? And that's so it overcomes the hearsay rule. So all these public statements, I'm guilty, I did this, I didn't have cancer, I didn't do this. Those statements now, the court is able to be used against her in court, which is sad, but that's why usually you would tell your client, don't make any public statements, keep your mouth shut because we want to win. It's more important to win in court than the court of public opinion. Some people don't understand that which comes first. If you lose in the court of public opinion, you still are free. If you lose in court, you are locked up. It doesn't matter. So
exactly. That's the one. Look, here's the thing. Well, people are going to hate me outside. Okay. People are going to hate you where? They're going to hate you where? Exactly. Outside. Let them hate you.
Yeah.
All right. I've got a couple of super chats that have come in. Something is going on with my live streaming software that I'm not getting them where they're supposed to. So let me see what I got here. PhD Tony hates literature. We don't know who that is. says for €2. It says facts. I think facts at PhD Tony hates literature. Tony, I swear you have to do the book reviews. You got to do it. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Jackalope Herdmaster for $2 says, don't forget to hit that like button. I only said that because Jackalope Herdmaster super chat people. So there you go.
Boom.
Irish Demon for $5 says, a lot of apologies. Let me see. Hang on, let me get this one up because it doesn't show. There we go. A lot of apologies from a lot of people are needed. Some folks are going to be picking crow feathers out their mouths for a while. Yes, they are.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, they are. And I got a couple new members. Let me see if I can find them because they don't make this easy. We got, let's see. Oh, come on. Just make it easy for me. One time. Rob Parks and Harry7 both joined the plot hole. We got one Rockaholic for Rob Parks and then one Headbanger for Harry7. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that.
Thank you for... Hey, don't forget to hit that like button too, guys. And don't forget to subscribe. We all need that YouTube love. But now, at the end of the day, you know what? One of the more interesting pieces of this story, though, is why she came to me to give a confession. Because I don't understand. Because,
I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you. Go ahead. Because it got out that you're the one who sent the email to the police.
Now, just so people know, you were I CC'd you on everything, right? So
yes.
So everything was totally transparent. What I did, how I did it, I sent you it all, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
So there were people in the background that were questioning, well, what's this Nate the lawyer? There's certain things he's saying that isn't correct and blah, blah, blah. And then, you sent me this email that I was able to go look up the captain that you sent it to, look and see where he was, where he works, what precinct he was at. I verified all that information by myself without anybody else. So the fact that you were putting that into an official email to a police officer who's going to look into this, obviously, because they contacted you, correct?
Yeah, they contacted me. Oh, I forgot to forward you that one. Yeah, they contacted me for just some more information and wanted to have a conversation. But I did tell Ilya that because we had our conversation and she came forward and more or less gave it up, that I wouldn't continue to help law enforcement. So I am going to be a man of my word and I'm going to back off. But again, anybody else can continue to, because you guys got the email, all you got to do is just do the follow up. But I am not going to continue on because I don't want to see the woman in jail, right? I honestly don't. Give back the money. I'm sorry, and move on. But the reason why it went this far to where we reported it is because there were a couple of donors who wanted to be reported. And the fact that it seemed like, after I think Reds had come out and said, oh, this is all good. And I think Fight had come out with the statement about the seat in the bank statements and everything's all good. So people thought that they were going to get away with this nonsense and was like, well, listen, since they won't just admit that all these bank statements and everything are just false, can we just have somebody investigate to make sure our money was spent good? And that's kind of what freaked everything out.
Anybody who feels that that anybody who wants to reach out to the authorities and report whatever I would encourage that. I believe that if you fuck up, you should be held accountable. I mean, whatever that means. I would never discourage anybody from reporting whatever they think they need to report. So if you feel that you can go through GoFundMe, you can go through the Tennessee Police Department, Knoxville, Tennessee specifically. There are many different ways you can go about it. I am not encouraging you or discouraging you from doing this. I think these are the types of things that just tend to work themselves out. I don't want to see people go to jail, but I do think that people need to be held accountable. And these two fundraisers specifically have done a lot of damage to this community.
Yeah.
And that's something that needs to be reprimanded. That's something that needs to be fixed. And I don't know how that's going to be fixed.
Yeah. You're going to read that $10 super chat?
Oh, I am going to read it. That's my
girl right there.
All right, from Amy Hogan. Yes, I love Amy. She's so sweet. Thank you, Johnny O. I hope once this is all over that the community can now heal and move forward. There has been a lot of collateral damage since last year. I hope we all can get past that. I agree. I think we should figure out how we can move forward and build a better community.
Well said, Amy. Well said.
Well said. Jackalope Herdmaster for 5 says, it saddens me that these fraudulent fundraisers are happening in this community. I honestly thought that this community was better than this. I did as well. Which, like I said.
But again, wherever people can take advantage of certain things, they will. And so this is not everybody. This is a couple of bad apples that have been found out. It took us over a year. Well, it took it took Uni over a year. It took you like 2 weeks, right?
A couple of weeks.
but they were found out. But I gotta give you.
I will give Uni Rock credit for at least keeping pressure on it, right? Sometimes you got to play that slow burn, and sometimes it takes an outsider's position to come in to put a different type of pressure to make things happen that you've been working on. So go ahead.
I got to give him total credit. He the Sean Humper story, they broke that like straight up. That was just them because they were the only ones screaming about that. And even this, so everybody understands, Unirock and the YBI now that I call them the YouTube Bureau of Investigations, they were the ones who were also doing the other back end work on that side. So they were the ones who found the other fundraiser, the Ilya Moon fundraiser. They did the metadata on some of the emails that were sent out. So those are the people, those are the tech people and the people they're doing those background investigations and things of that nature. So so they had a nice little part to play in it. And again, that's what I keep saying. I think a lot of people, I don't want the point here to be missed. That this was not about who did this or who did that. This was a exactly effort. This was both sides of the people who both sides don't like each other. We all came together and did this together as a group, and this is the result because we all saw something was wrong. So big ups to everybody who put something into this, and that we can actually work together and get something done.
Right. Rob Parks for 5 says, I think there needs to be serious consequences for lying about having cancer for money. I absolutely agree. And there are serious consequences. We might find out how good she looks in orange. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, no.
Shout out to Exiled, who heard me, then shared it. Jessica G for 2.
All right.
See here. Where'd you go? There was I missed one. Damn it. This stupid thing jumped.
You can click it up at top if it's still up on top.
That's true. Nerd Angle says, I would like Nate to explain his best understanding what obligations a creator platforming a fundraiser has to donors and some simple means to meet those obligations. That's actually a good one. Let's come back to that for a second. Let me finish out the super chats. We've got Holy Spackle. McRae said, who cares? Reds and his biggest followers like Sly, Astronomy, Live, Moralizer, about how you can't ask questions because cancer, facts versus feels. Yeah, I mean, look, I get it. It's a shitty thing to do to question somebody who says they have cancer, but you got to do it. I mean, if we have shown that anything, you've got to do it.
Yeah, if you're asking for money, you cannot bullshit on the receipts, right? And say cancer. Right? I'm asking you for $5,000, and I say, let me see the receipt that you spent it. You can't say, well, you can't ask me because I got cancer. That just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Doesn't work that way. Exile Jessica G has for £5 says Jessica G has been trying to get people's attention on this for a while now. Jessica G has had a lot of people's attention. Jessica G is one of my favorite people on the old internet, interwebs. Also,
I want to give Jessica B doing screaming this. Remember, a couple of days ago they said Jessica G was crazy, and her, right. Jessica G was right all along. She was right all along.
Yes, she was. Now there are a few other people that I've been talking to in the background. We'll get to that here in a minute. Some other people that have been offering some other avenues, some unverified pieces of evidence, some circumstantial stuff, some hearsay stuff that was able to point me in the right direction to help Nate and the other people looking into this as well. And we'll get to that here in a second. Really quick, I want to bring in Fight the Flat Earth. He says he has a statement he wants to make. So I want to hear what he has to say. And then we don't need his 45,000 sub channel here. Anyway, so. Fight, you there?
Hi. Hey, how you doing, guys?
You need to put that green lantern. You need to put that ring away. You don't get to wear that ring today.
I've heard you like. I heard that you like seeing my ring, Johnny. Is that not true?
That's not true.
True.
Oh, I don't know about that though.
It's not true.
well, also, I want to since you're on here, Flight, I want to say thank you for all the work that you did in breaking the story, because I know it must have been tough, because these were your friends, as I've always said before, and you looked at the evidence and you said, I just want the truth, and we found the truth, and and you were a big part of that. So I want to make sure everybody understands that. You know what I mean?
I mean, Ilya was never my friend. I've literally never had anything to do with Ilya. And for me personally, ever since I was burned by doing a fundraiser in like my first year on YouTube, I've tried to avoid them like the plague. I ended up in Sean Hufford's one without knowing what it was, and regretted ever being part of that because he clearly lied, and I've not paid attention to fundraisers. So I was ignorant to what was going on. I'd seen people saying stuff, but I've purposely avoided all that shit. But a lot of people came to me with evidence, circumstantial evidence, but a lot of circumstantial evidence that Ilya had been lying about having cancer. And I'd never want to just assume someone's lying about cancer, and I felt disgusting even having to question it. But unfortunately, we've found out that people lie, so you can't just take things on face value. So I was fed up with the rumors, and there's been so much division and hate in this community lately that I thought the best thing to do was to get involved and just help get to the bottom of it in any way that I could. So I've been, total transparency, I've been talking to Nate a hell of a lot over the past few days. Probably a good 6 hours me and him have spent on the phone over the past few days, right, Nate?
More than my wife. So
yeah, right.
Hey, you already told that joke. I did. And really quick, Schrodinger Cat for $5 says, I've had several successful fundraisers on my channel, and I will continue to. I will always have receipts available as in the past. See, and transparency.
Just be careful. Yeah,
really, transparency is important. So I will say that.
So, I'm in Scotland. I'm not really in a position to be phoning places in America and stuff. So I couldn't really go down that route. So as I am close to Reds in a lot of ways, I thought the best thing for me to do was actually speak to Reds and see if we can get to speak to Ilya. Took a bit of convincing before Ilya agreed to speak to us. But once she did, Reds and I were on the phone to her for, it was over 3 hours, and the entire time she was on there, I was messaging Reds in the background going, she's lying to us. I was even messaging Nate whilst I was on that call saying that she's lying to me right now. We asked her, the one thing we wanted to see to confirm if she was a patient or not was her patient portal. Because if you go onto the Thompson Cancer Survival website, there's a patient portal where you can log in and manage your patient details, your appointment times, and everything like that. So if she could do that, if she could log on to her patient portal on Thompson Cancer Survivor Center, and I could see that happen, and I could see her download her documents from there, then there wasn't anything to question. That was all I needed. But first she screen shared and she showed just some documents that she said had been downloaded, right? And we looked at the first one, we're like, all right then, and she brought up the second one, and instantly, as soon as she brought up the second one, I was like, wait, that doesn't look right. The formatting was off. And then Reg was like, yeah, there's a backslash missing there. And then we noticed that that was on the left side on the service date, and on the right, that where it said the invoice date, instead of it saying 2021, it said 2010.
Damn.
Yeah. And Reg and I were both like, what the fuck? What's going on
That's
here?
another thing I want to point out. So there was an original set of receipts that she put out, right? And one of those came from it's a common pre-collection type
that's
invoice, right? So so you have a common pre-collection type invoice that has they had this yellow box up top with an amount that was redacted. Now, I received enough. I've got a whole family here, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with who went to the doctor when, so you kind of forget about some of the things that come through. So I've received some of those bills that have the the highlighted portion up top says, hey, this is due. When it's highlighted like that in yellow, generally it means it's past due and we're about to go to collections.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
right. So in that call, after we'd seen those documents with glaring errors in, like 11 years out of date, we said to her, no, we need to see you log in, because she was like, oh wow, that must just be a mistake. Oh golly gee gosh, oh look at that, and Red and I were both very much like, okay, screen share us showing you logging on. And then she was having issues screen sharing, imagine that, right? And after about kind of 5-10 minutes of her, oh, I'm just trying to get this to load, oh, let me just move this onto this screen, oh, hold on, I'm just oh, I can't get the screen share to work, oh, just give me a sec. Then magically the screen share does start working. She's like, oh, I logged on while I was getting that done and I downloaded the documents again. Yeah, sure you fucking did, love. And then she had documents there that said the right dates on them and no backslash missing. And we were like, okay, cool, but please show us you logging on. And all of a sudden the screen share wasn't working magically again. And she said, oh, there's a firewall issue. It's not letting me screen share. And then she had a phone call from her boss and had to disappear for 20 minutes. Well, Reds and I were left in the call alone, talking clearly how fucking obviously, dodgy this entire phone call is. When she came back, she had a new idea that she would make a phone call with us listening in to Thompson Cancer Survival Center to ask them on the phone to send detailed billing information. I had no way of verifying what she was dialing. I was just taking this at face value. And so you heard her talking to herself, saying the number, and then it rings and someone answers the phone. And what do they say when they answer the phone? Hello, Thompson Cancer Survival Center. How can I help? And at this point, I'd already kind of looked at the fact that I was convinced she hadn't been to there. So that made me immediately suspicious. And then the only way to describe the conversation that followed between her and the person that answered the phone is the most perfect customer service call I have ever heard in my life.
Now, to be fair though, you did know already that we had verified at the hospital that she wasn't a patient. So that's what made you skeptical, because so everybody understands FTFE was instrumental in helping us verify that information. So he already knew that she wasn't a patient at that hospital. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I was very suspicious because I'd already been shown evidence that she wasn't from there. So someone picking up the phone and saying, hello, yes. Okay. So then she gave the patient number that she had, which we know wasn't correct, because if she was at the Knoxville Center, it should start with a K and it should say 21 for the, we knew that already what
the code was.
Yeah, the code should be for the pay. And so she gave this just 9-digit number. And the woman was instantly, yes, okay, I found your details. And I know everybody's here has made a fucking customer service call, and it's never that quick, right?
Yeah.
And there was no noises in the background, no clicking on a keyboard, nothing, right? So then they had the conversation saying, oh, yes, I need to get some detailed billing information. Oh, is it this email address? Oh, yes, that's right. Oh, thank you very much. Anything else I can help you with, ma'am? Oh, no, you've been great. Thank you very much. End of call. I didn't believe for a second that call was legitimate. Wow. And Nate, I said that to you straight up, didn't I?
Yeah. No. So as soon as you got off the call, you say, that's a fake phone call. Yeah. I'm like, fake phone call.
So we kept pushing her after that. Okay, great. But I'd still like to see you log on. But there was just issues with the firewall and with her work laptop, etc., etc. So that never happened. She said that she would forward us the emails in the next day when we got them. She said it's probably going to be Monday, but then they turned up on a Saturday, which was weird. And then I got the email and looked at the documents. And initially, I thought they looked okay. They seemed to have the right numbers on them. So I gave the documents to Nate. Complete transparency. Yeah, I passed those to Nate because I thought it was the right thing to do. And then Nate called me and we went through each document. Line by line. And we could see that even though a lot of the numbers were right, they were in the wrong places. It had one total that was for a different invoice number on the wrong one, with the wrong date of service attached to a different one. And there was one figure that didn't link to anything. It was all,
dates were off. Everything was off. Like crazy.
Yeah. So, and what confused me was, I don't very know much about computer science, and I spoke to a friend of mine who does, and he looked through the metadata. He said, as far as he could see, the email did originate from this Covent Billing Health email address, but the documents were clearly fake, so obviously that was wrong. So I kept pushing Reds to ask her for more things. I kept pushing Reds to tell her that we needed to see her log in. And there was just constant reason after reason after reason. Reds was being very naive. He wanted, he was convinced in his head that she was telling the truth. He didn't want to believe that anyone would lie to her about cancer, and he was fighting me quite hard about getting, oh, well, is she really going to let you see her details like that? Blah, blah, blah. And in amongst all this, I did miss one thing. During the original phone call, I disappeared a bit for dinner with my family. And during that time, she'd managed to get her screen share working again and recorded the video of her logging into her bank, showing 4 payments to Covenant Health, which I'm convinced those payments exist. But, we didn't know what they were for. So, I'd seen bank statements showing there was payments, but I'd also seen what I knew were clearly fake documents. So I kept pushing, and Reds kept pushing for her to show us her logging on. But that would never happen. And then she kind of lost contact with us, and then she would get back in contact with us. And we kept pushing for it as much as we could. And then it got, I think because of the fact that we were all pushing her and the fact that, you guys had all phoned the hospital, and it was kind of at the point where she couldn't keep the lie anymore, she went to Nate for damage control.
That's exactly what happened. Really quick, William Foley for 10 says, the amazing thing is someone thought they could scam this particular community long term. Way too many smart people across multiple disciplines. About as bad as taking on the cans or the farms. Yeah. I mean, it's not an interesting thing to do here.
And let me be clear. I can see some people in the chat. It's not that Reds didn't want it investigated. Reds absolutely did want it investigated, but he didn't feel good about asking someone to share their personal information because I don't think anyone would, but he did do it. We asked her for her bank, to show us the bank. We asked her to show us the patient portal. Reds was pushing for that just as hard as I was, even though he was reluctant to do it because he didn't want to believe that she was lying to him. Reds did do it, but he didn't want to, because you wouldn't want to. You want to believe people are telling you the truth, but Reds was throughout the whole process pushing as hard as I was. Whether he still believed that she was innocent or not, he was pushing for the evidence just as hard as I was. And then it was the conversation Reds and I had earlier today where I listened to a phone call that he phoned Ilya, and he was like, look, tell me the truth right now. It's a fib that you had cancer in your jaw, right? He'd gone ballistic on that call, and he's like, tell me now it was a fib. And she's like, it was a fib.
But what did you think made him turn? What did you think turned him to that Reds rhetoric? Because before
I told him to go and think about it. We'd had a conversation the night before, and he was like, the email seems real. We got the bank payments. What else do we do? And I said, right, you need to go away and you have a think about what you really think is going on. And look at all the evidence that you've seen. Listen to the fact that we know she lied to us in that phone call. And at that point, he'd accepted that there was lots of things that were false, but he was still convinced that she'd originally had cancer, and maybe it was a Sean Hufford situation of kind of embellishing things quite a lot. And don't get me wrong, I'm not being a Sean Hufford apologist. I fucking hate the guy, but he was thinking that maybe there's some truth behind it, but then he got to the point where he just had to ask the question outright. He was annoyed that she had gone to Nate because he thought that she should have made that those confessions to him first because of what he's put on the line, and me as well because of what I've been doing the past few days. And so he phoned her. He was very angry at her, and she admitted in that phone call that she'd fibbed about the cancer. And that's when Red kind of broke down about it. This has been very heavy on him. So I told him that go and take a walk, write a statement. I will read that statement on and put it up for people to see so that everyone can see what's happened. If Reds wants to make a statement about it himself, that he can, but I suggested to him because he was so emotional that, if he wanted to, I would make that statement on his behalf.
So real quick, looks like Nate, looks like you have a fan out here. It says Dragnot Silvus. For 5 says the only competent person involved in this got the confession. Everyone else helped facilitate information and in some cases validated misinformation. Well, I want to personally thank everybody who helped me validate misinformation and facilitate information. That's all I'm saying. Of course I kid.
So Reds was upset that because let's just be honest, and these guys knew exactly when I was talking to her and the fact that when I got the confession,
Yeah.
So after the confession, right, there was really no doubt, because I remember what I told when Johnny heard it. He was just like, yeah, there's no doubt. It's all fake, blah, blah, blah. It was gone.
Yeah.
It's at that point when we knew it was over. It seemed like Reds had to be ultimately convinced himself that this was fake. Did none of the other things, none of the other evidence that just piled up, the fact she wasn't at the hospital, the fake documents, you guys know she tried to pass. Like, why did it take that point for her to say,
but here's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
Right? Here's the thing. Everybody wants to talk about this confession. The confession is just the icing on the cake.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All of the evidence that was put together by a multiple it was a lot of people involved in
Rock
this,
and his crew,
right?
you got to.
There's a lot of different people involved. There's a lot of people involved. Hang on a second. Getting the confession again, that's cool. That's great. That's awesome. But it wasn't needed. We already knew, right? We could already prove
we
it.
We knew.
You know what I mean? And I think getting the confession, both what Nate you got with her and then what you Fight got with her, that, I mean, again, that's awesome. But it was there. It was there. You can confess to it or not. It doesn't matter. You're guilty. You're still innocent because you haven't been in the court of law yet. But all the evidence, once it gets looked at, it doesn't look good for you.
Yeah. I mean, I was never convinced that the fundraiser was legitimate. Like I said, I've avoided even looking into what was going on until like 3-4 days ago. And from the second I looked into it, initially we saw the receipt posted on the GoFundMe, and I went to Nate with it, and Nate said, "Oh, I've seen the receipt yet? It seems legit." So I kind of, at that point, I was like, "Oh, well, maybe it is legit," you know. So I tweeted that we'd seen that, but then Nate said he took another look at it. So I was like, "Okay, let me see what you've got." And then when he pointed out the duplicate invoice number and everything, I thought, okay, I need to keep looking further. So there was never any point where I was convinced that it was legit. I was, I think I said to you, Nate, even the first time we talked, I was like 65-35 that she was, that she'd lied, right? I was still edging towards that side.
To be honest with you, you absolutely, from when we first started talking about this, when you actually first mentioned this, at no point did you ever say you thought it was legit. The only time you actually even made me think it was legit, you thought it was legit, is when you put out the tweet about looking at the bank statements. Yeah. But all before that, I'll say this constantly, you said this is fake, this doesn't make any sense. Yeah. So that's true.
Now, with the bank statements, I was very careful with what I tweeted. I said that I saw a video of 4 bank payments, and I think those, as far as I can tell, those payments are legitimate. That I was very careful not to say anything else. People can add words or whatever they want, but I've been very, very careful with the things that I've tweeted and the things that I've retweeted to not put us, not make a statement either way until I had enough evidence for me to do it. And there was evidence piling up, and I know, Nate, you were like, come on, you have to see, there's so much here. And yeah, you were right. There was so much evidence, and my gut was telling me that it was fake, but I wasn't at the point where I could put myself out on a limb and go, yes, this is definitely a scam. And until today, when you showed me her talking to you, and I heard her confessing to Reds, and I spoke to other people from her YouTube channel, Sit With Andy Bunkers, that said that no, she asked for it. They didn't really push for it. She was the one asking to do it. So, and all those things were the final thing that I was like, okay, now I'm happy to go and put a statement out saying that it was a scam. But I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an investigator. I'm a man of science, and I have to base what I say on evidence. And there just wasn't enough evidence for me to say yes 100%. But as soon as I thought there was, the right thing for me to do is put a statement out. And the whole thing is sucky, right? The whole thing. Let's be blunt, everybody. The whole thing fucking sucks. Nobody wants to question if somebody has cancer. I felt dirty doing it. What if it turned out that she was innocent and she did have cancer? How bad would we all feel, right?
You know what though? But here's the thing. Let's say that happened, right? Let's say 100% everything was on the up and up. Good that we called into this question, right? Because with the whole Sean Hufford business, that when you have one leak, all of a sudden we got to drop. And now you've got to fix that. You've got to investigate what's causing this leak.
We're out $15,000.
There you go. We need to figure this out. And I'm sorry, Ilya, but because of all the stuff that's going on, right? That's what irritated me the most about the Sean Hufford situation, especially if I were Reds. If I put my neck out there for you, and let's say I'm completely complicit. I'm not making one statement one way or the next. I want people to forget all that, right? Hey, side chat. Let's all be cool. I get it. This is an emotional thing, so I understand.
All the people saying that I co-signed stuff and I confirmed that it was real, I never did. I don't even remember it, but there's a screenshot of me retweeting one thing that Red said, which was that people looking into a cancer patient are pieces of shit, because I didn't like it. And yeah, I retweeted that, but I never, ever, ever co-signed, whatever that means, anything. I have been skeptical of this from the start.
And that's true. And I can co-sign that, but I do want to say this though.
Hang on, let me finish.
Warn you.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me finish my train of thought there before I got
Sorry, Johnny.
That's right. The thing that irritated me the most about the whole situation, right? Both these situations suck, right? Even the Sean Hufford thing, even if you know, again, let's say, right, Sean Hufford, if he was on the up and up and said, "Hey guys, I didn't get what I needed to get, so I kind of went to panic mode. You guys cool with me, shifting? I didn't make the money I thought I was going to make on this fundraiser to be able to pay this off, to be able to do this, that, and the other, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pay out a couple of months rent here. I'm not sure about this job over here now. It seems that's gone away, and it doesn't seem like I have a place to stay over here in Florida like I thought. But now I've got this other place I can go to, and there's probably going to be a good job for me, or there's going to be a job for me." Had all that stuff happened with Sean Hufford, I think everybody would have been cool with it. Or had Sean Hufford, let's say, he did pay. I just don't understand. If I'm Reds, I'm trying to put myself in his headspace. If I'm Reds Rhetoric and I'm on a call with everybody and Sean and I'm speaking to Hufford and I say, "Hey, look, we really need this proof that you paid this stuff, because I've got a lot of people that are coming down on me pretty hard. You can get that proof." And Sean says, "Well, I can't afford to go down there." And then you've got these people saying, "Hey, we'll pay for it. We'll pay for you to go down there to get this information, to clear this whole thing up." And then he says, "No, I'd rather just let it go." Right there, I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's my neck that's out. This is the thing that irritates me the most about this. Is what really gets me the most, and why I can understand why people are going after Reds as hard as they are. Whether Reds is or is not a part of this whole fraud business, right? Let's for the sake of argument say that he's not. Just for the sake of argument, say he's perfectly 100% innocent of this. Then he is a fucking moron. And I'm sorry. I know. I'm sorry, Fight. I know that he's your friend.
Right. I've said this.
But that's what Fight says.
Reds, even though I think he isn't guilty of anything, and I've personally looked through his bank accounts for the past couple of years, and couldn't see him making any money or anything from it. So I'm convinced that Reds is innocent. That doesn't change the fact that he has been extremely naive about this entire thing. And it's a shame, because he's such an intelligent, usually well thought out person, but he has been extremely naive and ignorant about the people that have been using his channel. Hindsight 2020, he absolutely should have researched the things that he was putting his name behind more. But that's how I feel. Reds has been extremely naive, but that doesn't mean that he's guilty. And I don't like all the guilt by association. If someone shows me evidence, actual evidence that not just speculation and circumstantial stuff, if someone actually shows me evidence that Reds is involved in this, then my position will be that Reds is involved in this, because I look at the evidence and go where the evidence shows me. But at this point in time, I see no evidence to suggest that Reds is complicit in doing anything beyond being a naive person.
Well, but we could also be fair to it, right? There is. I am going to actually agree with what you said. There's absolutely no evidence that Reds took anything, did anything illegal, or do anything. That is 100% a factual observation. But if we're being reasonable, if Reds ever hold a fundraiser, are you saying we should trust that money is going to be used based on Red's own good word?
If he did a fundraiser again, you mean?
Yes.
Right.
No.
Yes, and that's where the rubber meets the road. That is the tension here, right? The tension is there's no evidence, but I would never give to another one of that guy's fundraisers because obviously he has this history. So now we're in the middle. It's not criminal, but it's not right, and that's where I think everybody's coming to meet the road. So you're totally correct, and I think both can be correct. I think Reds is not a criminal because it's either he's a criminal or he's stupid. But I do think if someone says this guy's acted stupid for these last 2 ones at least, and maybe even the other ones, then I think that's a fair assessment of the situation.
Yeah, it's not something that you could argue with, right? He's been taken for a fool more than once, and that's disappointing. But none
I wish
of
I had that. I wish I had that George W. Bush fool me once.
Shame on you. But you can't be fooled again.
Fool me twice. Well, you can't be fooled twice.
Yeah.
People
in the chats.
Hang on a second. Hang on. Leroy R53 for $5 says FTFE avatar does not look like him.
What you on? That's a photo.
Exposed.
That's a literal photo of me. What are you on about?
All right.
But let me just respond to one person in the chat that says Reds has something on me. Nobody has anything on me because there isn't anything to have on me. I am an open book. So no, Reds doesn't have anything on me, and that is literally just being a conspiracy theorist. I have been as open and honest and transparent as I can be during this whole thing, talking to Nate, talking to Johnny, talking to Reds and Ilya. I haven't gone public before this because I didn't think it was the right thing to do. I wanted to make sure I had all of the evidence before I did. But no one has anything on me. I have been searching for the truth, and that is it.
All right. Now I've got other people that want to get in and have a couple of words to say. So Fight, it was amazing having you on here to give your point of view and your background on this whole thing. So I appreciate you coming on.
Oh, and let me just say, if anyone wants to see my full statement, it is on my channel. It's unlisted, but the link to it is in the tweet I put out. So if you want to hear my full statement and hear, don't take anyone else's words for what my position is. Go and listen to my statement on what my position is and the evidence that I went through. I lay it all out. Johnny, thank you for letting me on to say my piece.
Sure,
Nate, thank you for working with me on this the past few days. I do appreciate it. I personally would like this to be the last thing I have to say about it. I think I've done everything I can to help solve the situation. And at this point, I think it should be left for the authorities to do any more investigating.
All right. Well
so
said,
NA says FTFE, I got something on you. Green Lantern sucks. And with
I'm gonna find you.
With that, have a good one, Fight.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
Speak soon.
Take care, brother.
Bye.
All right. I am adding in one of my wrong button. There we go. Come on. Oh, unmute yourself. You muted yourself.
Yeah, you muted.
Oh, and I just said something hilarious, dude. You said I'm gonna add one of my, and I'm like, sexiest friends. True story.
Jackalope Herdmaster. Yeah, Jackalope Herdmaster 5 says, all I wanted to hear from Reds was an apology. His refusal to give one was one of the deal breaker for me. Yeah, and here's the thing. If this is one thing, and I think Irish, you agree with me. I'm sure Nate, you agree with me as well, was how hard in the paint he went against anybody who spoke out against these, right? Anybody who said, hey, the whole Sean Hufford thing, fuck you guys, you're fucking bullshit. All you, fuck you. I'm like, whoa, chill the fuck out, man. Calm down. We have legitimate questions here. Can we get those answered?
Yeah, and it seemed to always become an emotional thing too. Like you're going after him because he's in a bad spot. Who are you? That type of thing. And you had some ulterior motives. Like didn't he say Team Skeptic? His motives because he got they had a bad time at Dumb Fuck of the Year, something like that. Like it was all kind of ridiculousness. But at the end of the day, people were just asking for simple things, receipts, right? And as soon as you ask for a receipt, next thing you know, you're on your way out. Go ahead, Irish Demon. I'm sorry, I cut you off, brother.
No, all good, all good. Like myself and Nate have one thing in common here in particular, and that is that we have both spent thousands of hours in criminal court. And the reality, I think you can agree with me, is criminals and people who do things like this always think that they are smarter than everybody else.
Yes.
Always the way. And they'll say something on the stand, or they'll say something in an interview, and you'll kind of go, really? You think I'm going to believe that bullshit? And then they try to cover it up. As you said, the complex answers to very simple questions. Right. It's like, okay, this is going to come as no surprise to some people in the community. I haven't been very vocal about it in the past, but there's been no love lost between myself and Ilya Moon. That's the reality of it. We've had a bit of history, some arguments privately and things like that. There was the whole thing with Crafty Keela and a few other things. And I've been talking to her on Twitter over the past few days. My role in all of this, to some extent, was just a bit of a go-between for Johnny. And Ilya tried to pull the wool over my eyes for the past few days. And I rang Johnny. I said, Johnny, she's lying. 100%, she is fucking lying. Myself and Nate, you probably adopted this skill as well. After a couple of years in court, you can tell a liar from 200 miles away without them even opening their fucking mouth. Right. And I straight away rang Johnny. She's lying. She's lying 100%. Yeah. And you can tell it. It was this, like, she sent me a picture of her eye all fucked up. She's like, oh, this is because of stress. And I'm like, yeah, I'd be fucking stressed too if I was looking at going to jail. You know what I mean? Fucking hell, dude. But and then the other thing is the Reds rhetoric thing. I understand why people feel the way they do, and will look into him, and that's fair enough. I get it. So I was on the phone to him the other night for a few hours, and he was talking about the Booleanator thing, and I didn't really know any of what was going on with that. I was kind of going through my own shit at the time with my channel, so I wasn't really too engaged. And he showed me thousands, like literally thousands of receipts and things like that. So, if it gets looked into, he's going to have a lot of stuff to share. And I hope that if that is the case, that he'll just be open. He'll just be open and be honest. It's a tough one, though. His reaction to me when I asked him if, he wanted to talk with Johnny was, oh, if you had any shred of decency, you wouldn't be questioning a cancer patient. I'm like, dude, I've seen too many people try to catch people out in court and stuff like that. I've been in court cases where similar things have happened. One was a school teacher who had her kids bringing in, a couple of bucks a week for some charity for African kids, and she was pocketing it. So, it happens. It does happen. And sometimes it's the ones that you like the most. That's the sad thing about it. I've never liked her, though. I'm just saying. I've always thought she was a liar, but that's just my view.
But that manipulation, though, that anybody who questions a cancer plate, then what the hell? It's no one. And again, that's with the simple questions get complex answers. Because the only thing you're saying is, I just want a receipt. And then when they present the simple receipt, it becomes even more complex because the receipt has issues and all this other stuff. And that's the one thing, again, I think the thing about this scam that made it so devious is because it started off with fake receipts, right? The receipts they started off with in the initial fundraiser, those receipts were questionable. But we all trusted each other to say, who the hell would give us fake receipts, right? And then we're challenged. Then the fake receipts come up again, and everybody looking. And
but that's a legitimate question, right? That's a legitimate question because when that faking that receipt, that's pretty big. That's a big thing. That's a big deal.
That's very serious.
And admitting faking that receipt.
Yeah.
I think that's the point. That's the point that you can't get over because that's you're generally when you're faking documents to induce people to give money to you. That's what they call fraud.
Exactly.
That's serious fraud. That's at the higher end. I mean, it's not even about the dollar value. It's about the
so that's exactly. So that's the one thing I wanted to point out. A lot of people say, well, would this be considered fraud on that type of level because of this, that, and the other? It's like, no, it's not about the money, right? It's the level in which you went to get that money. Really quick, Lord Illuminous Pooh for $5 says, Demon, I bought 1 foot of land in Scotland. FTFE has the proof. He told me to change my name back. Rack focus. I love the whole wink, wink. Well,
Awesome. You can buy a square foot of land in Scotland and become a laird, which is a Scottish lord. I'm thinking about selling bits of land that I've got back in Ireland and making people honorary chieftains or something like that, make a few extra bucks.
I'd buy
But
that
you just
for
have to
$1.
trust me. You just have to trust me. You know, you might not get a genuine receipt. You'll just have to trust me, bro. And the other thing that I just wanted to point out was, and I'll be talking about this later on my channel as well, about the future of these fundraisers that we do, and we should do fundraisers. We've proven that we've helped a lot of people in the past, and myself and Johnny and the rest of the Beardsmen have done some great fundraisers in the past as well. The thing is, these things that have happened were terrible, but there is a silver lining here, and that is that from now on, people will be much more careful about doing these things, and it will put off people who would otherwise have tried to defraud people. They're going to be like, fuck that, I'm not going to chance it for $1,000. Like, she has potentially ruined her life for a few $1,000s. She's an attention seeker, and anytime I've ever spoken to her, it's been a woe is me, FML, look at how terrible my life is. And I'm like, nah, fuck that. I'm not going to sit there and listen to this bullshit.
Yeah, I want to say one thing. Nate, I know it's getting kind of late for you, so you're more than welcome to hang out as long as you want. I've got a couple more people in the background that want to kind of get on and give their opinions, and happy to have a PhD Tony and Team Skeptic here in just a few seconds. But I want to say this. While this whole investigation was going on, Ilya Moon sent me some DMs on the old Twitters, and it was complete manipulation, right? It was about, I can't believe this, you know me better than this, blah, 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 blah. So Ilya Moon, if you are watching, you can unblock me and send me your apology at any time. And I will read it. And if I think it's legitimate and sincere, I will consider accepting it. But as it is right now, I don't appreciate the fact that you tried to manipulate the situation, especially with me. Knowing how I operate, that I don't believe a goddamn thing anybody says on face value. To think that you could pull the wool over my eyes is fucking stupid at best. So there you go. Let me get PhD Tony and Team Skeptic in here, and then again, Nate, you are more than welcome to hang out as long as you want. I know it's getting late for you over there. You've had a pretty busy day.
Yeah. I got a couple more. I got to see what's up with my boy Team Skeptic there. What's going on, man?
Good to talk to you again. This is our second time to talk, and in such short time. And then we're also
PhD Tony hates literature, by the way.
We also have Nate coming on Wednesday night for Whiskey Wednesday, which is Cinco de Mayo, guys. It's gonna be crazy. We're gonna talk about this Wednesday, and you know what happened the last time I talked about controversial shit on my channel?
No, what happened?
That's what kicked all of this off, and that's kind of what I want to talk about today. And the unfortunate situation is that, maybe it wouldn't have, maybe the Ilya Moon thing still would have came to light. And maybe that would have brought out the whole Sean Hufford thing. But, there have been a lot of people that have been saying this for a long time. We're only becoming the voices for this evidence to find surface for other people to see. Because for a long time, the evidence was being presented, but, it was being presented by Unirock. And just to call, to call it how it is, not a lot of people were even giving him the time of day to even listen or hear him out. That has to be noted, because this is the one thing that I speak out against, guys, is the group think. Sometimes when we hear group think and we decide the group has decided that this person's nuts, and that person, even if that person is nuts 99% of the time, there is that 1% of the possibility that they're telling you the truth. They're providing you with good evidence, and you really should at least consider that this one time they might be right. And look what happened. It started with Sean Hufford, and now the Ilya Moon stuff has come out, and it's come out that was true also. Now, the one thing I want to express, and this is the one thing that we as a community, if we're going to say we're a community, we need to look out for each other and make something very well known. You guys are too smart to be fooled, okay? the way these fundraisers work is they don't, not all the time are they trying to fool you. Sometimes they're just pulling at your heartstrings. They know you guys are like have good thoughts in your head, good intentions in your head. They know that this community is filled with a lot of doctors. This community is filled with a lot of people who've done well off for themselves. And a lot of times I feel like these fundraisers are not really necessary. Like that people say, oh, let's do this fundraiser. For instance, the Sean, when I called it out when it was said, I was like, why are we asking for $10,000? You don't need $10,000. Where did that, why? Like, let's really legitimately think about this, guys. Like, what if the community, what if everybody involved only had 100 subscribers? Would they have been asking for $10,000? What if the community was filled with a bunch of people who, you know, were struggling all the time and weren't donating and sending super chats in? Would they have asked for 10? That probably not, because it's an unreachable goal. The idea that they recognized your gratuity, that they recognize the fact that you're a good person and that you have a good heart and you might have a little bit of expendable income. And they took advantage of that. And if you go back and look, it's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until we get one that's so outrageously big and so outrageously false that it brings into light the other ones. And now that the other ones are in the light, and now that the other ones are being, you just, guys, recognize that you are a good person. And just like we would tell our grandparents not to get scammed by the phone scammers that call them, stop being taken advantage by these people who are consistently running fundraisers for personal benefit. They are adults. They can help themselves out. Now, I know emergencies happen, and I know fundraisers are necessary, like Irish Demon was saying. But if you intend on running a fundraiser, you really might want to think about taking a portion of the fundraiser and being very public about it and saying, I'm giving a portion of this fundraiser to this person or to this entity that's going to be completely transparent about the progression of the fundraiser. Businesses do this all the time. If you go and you look at these major corporations that run fundraisers, they set aside a certain portion of it for legal fees, that because they're going to be transparent about it, as transparent as they come. Admin fees, all these fees are built in. We as a group, if we're going to do it, understand transparency is a must, and maybe pay somebody a percentage of that to make sure that everything's on the up and up. And that's just a suggestion.
And let's make sure it's not something outrageous like 50%. Lord Illuminous Pooh for $2 says, I have 3 PhDs from Abide You, as valid as Kent Hovind. That seems pretty valid, I gotta say. I think those are real. What do you think?
I think definitely, because I sold them to him, so you won't be getting any receipts or anything. But I'd like to hear what Daniel Pratt has got to. PhD Tony's got to say.
Hang on one second. PhD Tony, you're up next. Angel Gamer for 5 says someone should just start a weekly community conflict resolution stream where people can come on and work out their issues. You know what? I'd be more than happy to do that.
I want to ask a poll, though, of the audience. Who out there thinks that Red's rhetoric would believe those 3 PhDs are real?
Jeez. Leroy R53 says, word cream skeptic for 5. I don't know where that went. There it is. Boom.
Word.
Absolutely. All right. Mr. PhD Tony. I'm kidding. PhD Tony hates literature.
Period.
You're muted. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. So, I'd like to address why it was that Red's rhetoric and Cheshire Vic allowed themselves to suspend their critical faculties long enough to indulge these fundraisers and to refuse scrutiny of them. And the reason is simple. They have a psychological need for self-righteous outrage. And from the moment they embraced Ilya Moon, they were manipulated into exercising their desire for self-righteousness on the targets that Ilya had chosen. Crafty Keeler is the highest amongst those. Jessica G also suffered immensely. And I suffered some of their ire, but I'm a relatively small an insignificant fish. But Crafty and Jessica in particular were rounded out from the herd and then persecuted. And we as a community need to be better than that. And I tried making the point at the time. And Reds and Vic and their allies instead decided to attack me, suggesting that I'm just a simp, I don't understand what's going on. No, I apply my critical faculties, and if somebody is saying, look, I'm having a dispute with Ilya, you need to just be wary of Ilya because this, that, and the other. And if somebody is saying, I'm having this dispute with Crafty, you guys should really destroy Crafty, only one of those sides is an adult. Don't allow yourself to be manipulated. And, you know, Reds and Vic, etc., are clinging to the illusion that they weren't manipulated into the various crusades that they launched. They were, but they're addicted to those crusades. Those crusades validate them. Those crusades provide positive psychological effects that they cannot achieve any other way. So they don't want to hear the evidence that Ilya Moon is a liar. They don't want to hear the evidence that Sean Hawkins was a liar, because none of that evidence.
Sean
Hufford. Sorry, Sean Hawkins. What the hell am I even talking about?
Everybody does that to him too. Just so you know, and it's accidental. Nobody does it unintentional, but it's
sorry.
It's a common, it's a common thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Johnny,
sorry
to jump in. Sorry,
I know I missed a super chat. I missed a super chat from Schrodinger's cat says for $2 to start a fundraiser team, and I need new livers.
We do. Whiskey Wednesday. He'll be there as well. Cinco de Mayo. Nate. Whiskey Wednesday as well. And maybe even PhD Tony. Oh God, he's trying to drink his hair.
What's
back
you got there, Irish?
I'm sorry about this, but I've got to bounce. Something just came up. I got to go take care of. I'm really sorry, guys.
Okay.
I'll catch you all later. Yeah, you too, Nate. I want to get up with you someday and maybe watch some court videos live or something and do some reactions. That'd be a lot of fun.
All right, cool. Yeah, anytime, brother.
Let's do it. All right. Nice to meet you.
Hey,
nice to meet you too, PhD Tony, and that skinny guy in the bottom. I'm not sure who that is.
Hey, come on Wednesday too, Irish. If you're available,
I'm going to try.
Well.
I'm back on the road working flat out because we have to, because some things have changed. We have to go back to Ireland about 5 weeks earlier than we thought. So I've got to try do 12-hour days at the moment to try and make up the difference. So I've got to hit the road.
Thank God those letters to the Australian government paid off.
I fucking knew it was you. I knew it was you. He is Daniel Pratt in undercover. But anyway, I gotta go, guys. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys later. Lovely to meet you, Nate, and I'll see you guys soon.
All right, Irish.
All right, take care.
See ya.
All right, Bella Charge for 5 New Zealand says, so do we start a fundraiser to get you one of them flash lay down couches for back there? You know what? If you guys want to get me a flash, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I want to speak though on what PhD Tony just said because
1 sec.
Okay, sure.
Natalie Cross for 5 New Zealand says, I can't believe you don't have more subscribers. Man, you're awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Fohammer 335 says, PhD Tony never does anything by accident. That's absolutely true, except pee his pants. Fohammer 335 for 2 says,
diapers for that. I have diapers for that. God damn it.
Demons getting broken into again. Well, that's possible. So if I miss one, just tag me, let me know. I think I got them all. No, wait, nope, sorry, I missed one. Angel Gamers says PhD Tony starts talking, everyone else.
Yeah, I have to put on my shock bracelet and have it shock me every 30 seconds just to remind me that PhD's talking and it's not actually bedtime.
Lord Illuminous Pooh for 2 says, Team Weed Wednesday. I'm sure you mean like a gardening show. I got you. It's a gardening show.
Yeah, he's talking
Calm
about
down. Calm down,
100%.
YouTube moderator.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get back into this here. There was a lot of things that went on in the background with this whole Ilya Moon thing and I want to stress that there are so many different moving parts and pieces.
Mm-hmm.
It was a true team effort when it came to getting as much of this out as possible. And that's important. And that's how a community should work.
Well, yes, and it should, but it should have started doing it a lot earlier. and I'd like Nate's opinion on this, because it seems like the desire for a rush to judgment overwhelmed everybody's patience for an actual investigation of the facts.
Right.
That's how it seems to me, anyway. Everybody wanted to judge that Ilya was a victim on multiple levels, that she had been targeted by people within the community, that she was a cancer survivor, that she was a beaten mother, that she had a dead child, etc., etc., etc. And there's
isn't that a red flag in itself that everything about this person is some sort of, I mean, like she is a walking Lifetime special. I know some of my non-American friends might not know what Lifetime Network is, but it's those really shitty movies that it's always some sort of weird, just
I always
tragedy.
I always found it really funny that she comes in one day, right? Like we had just recently had her little fundraiser. I wasn't a part of it. I'm not going to say we had it. They had it. I was just a part of the group at the time.
Stay away from it, brother. Stay away from it. Legally, stay away from it.
Yeah.
I've been done with that group of people for a long time. Literally, Fight's pretty much the only person I still even really communicate with from over there, just because, as PhD Tony says, the moment that they didn't like me, it wasn't Reds doesn't like me. It was a Reds and crew doesn't like me, and they attacked me as well. Even after Sean admitted that he actually did not do what he said, that he actually did commit whatever. I don't want to make an assumption as to what it is legally classified as, but not doing what he absolutely fucking said he was going to do and lying about it the whole time. When he did that, like, they still attacked me for being the guy that exposed it, or not really exposed it, but brought it to light. And like the people that I considered friends, people I looked up to. Here's a good example, Golden Unicorn, right? I've never said a bad thing about that person ever. Not one time have I even had a bad thought about her. But I have to go over there in the Reds Rhetoric video where he attacked me, of course, for calling Sean out, saying I was bullshitting and fucking eating crow, right? In those comment sections, fucking Golden Unicorn is literally saying it's me that's the problem. That I didn't reach out to them when they all have me blocked. Number one, nobody's fucking talking to me, calling me, but it's me. I'm supposed to be reaching out to them and ensuring that I get through to them to ask Sean what Reds and Fight and everybody else had already asked Sean, and Sean didn't tell them. It wasn't until I had the fucking lease to provide before I was even ready to say that this was 100% fact. And they still criticize me. Where is the critical thinking?
Sorry to interrupt, team, but there was a super chat from Karen the Ferryman that got missed.
Yeah, I'm checking it right now. So Leroy R5345 says, GG, Nate. I think that means that's like gamer talk for good game or something weird. I don't know. I don't get it.
Well done,
get
Nate.
Good.
I'm actually a bit suspicious about Nate, because my experience in this community that anyone whose first name is Nathan or Nate.
Yeah. Oh no, God. Yeah.
I'm saying.
Bringing it back, though. I'm bringing it back.
You're bringing it back. Okay.
I'm here to support the good Nates of the world.
I got you. So Harold for 2 US says, fine, Reds is innocent. He's still a coward. So there's that one I missed. Since there's another one I missed, I'm not seeing it. Dang it.
Karen the Ferryman says let me just find it. I'm scrolling up towards it. And it was a $5 one too. 2 fundraisers found to be fraudulent in 3 weeks, but the other 36 were totally legitimate. Trust us. And if you don't, we'll attack you mercilessly. That was Karen the Ferryman. $4.99. They seem to be real American dollars. So there you go.
Let me ask a question of you three right here. Moving forward.
Hang on a second. I've got a question from the chat that was asked. And I think it's important. I think it's an important question. So table that for just a second, team.
Okay.
We've got people who essentially want Nate's opinion on what Red's obligation are, as he has used his platform to host these fundraisers. And let's be honest, like Team said, if these guys didn't have, big platforms, would they Excuse me, would we even be talking about this?
Well, but just so everybody make it clear, this is not legal advice because I wouldn't even know what the laws are in the competent jurisdiction. But I'm just as someone looking at it, I went and see what Red's, if he has any exposure to anything. Because just because I promote a fundraiser on my channel, I'm not the one making the guarantee that the funds are going to be used the way they're supposed to be used, right? That's Huffer, that's Ilya Moon, right? They're getting the funds and saying we're going to use them in this particular way. So I don't know if promotion of that would bring any type of liability, unless he has some contractual relationship with the fundraiser. If he's going to get some money out of the fundraiser, something like that, maybe his obligation to give some money back. If let's say, for instance, he gets super chats, he got a certain percentage or something like that, maybe something like that. But outside of him getting refunded, he gets some direct funds or something from it. I wouldn't see how, him hosting it. I don't see how it puts him in that type of life. It may put him where people don't trust what happens on this channel at just a practical sense, but I don't really see any legal liability here.
Gotcha. Fohammer 335 for 2 says, "Well, team, you're an easy target, just like in COD."
I'm calling bullshit on that.
I guess it's like
I'm
fishing.
skinny as fuck. If I turn sideways, it's impossible to fucking reflect light. So
yeah. All right. So, team, you were about to ask a question.
Yeah, and I think this is a legitimate question, and I think that let's say 2 months ago, should someone have someone outside, we'll say outside of Unirock, outside of me or you guys that are here, let's just say a random person in the community decided to investigate one of the previous fundraisers. We're not even going to say the Ilya Moon one or the Sean Hufford one. Let's just say they picked, here's what I want to say. We're going to say the Marvel Girl one because Marvel Girl's fundraiser went to a good cause for Marvel Girl. And I believe that was a completely legitimate fundraiser. So let's say they decided they wanted to scrutinize that fundraiser. They would have been heavily criticized for having that decision. But now moving forward, now that 2 of them have been exposed, should anybody go back and criticize someone who does want to look into one of the previous fundraisers? And Marvel Girl, I think you're out in the thing. I want to make it clear her fundraiser was absolutely, I supported that 100%. And that was in my opinion, that was an absolutely legit fundraiser. It helped her out. And that's the only reason I'm bringing that one up is because I know it to be, as far as I'm concerned, it's legit.
Well, I want to say there is a big difference between criticizing versus just verifying, through that what was said was going to happen happened, right? And I think so criticizing a fundraiser, maybe you don't think that was a good fundraiser to have. That's one thing, no matter how you feel about the Marvel Girl fundraiser. But if the fact that she took the money and spent it on what she said she's going to spend it, that verification of a receipt to show that actually happened. I don't think, no matter what the fundraiser is for, that's the obligation of the person actually getting the money to show the donors that what happened with the money happened. That's why you keep the receipts. So and these fundraisers have gone down off of that simple concept. Let's see the receipt that you paid your rent. It was left in something, blah, 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 blah. Receipts, can't be given. This one, let's see the receipt. Now we're getting doctored things. So I think at the end of the day, there was these things happened, like I said, a year ago. And that trust has waned all the way to this particular point. So now if someone was to tell me that they don't think Marvel Girl, again, I believe that it was all legitimate. I have no evidence to believe that it's not. But if someone was to question that one and say, well, I want to see the receipt for that, it may be a pain in the behind to get, but I don't think it would be unreasonable to know that in 2 weeks, you've just busted 2 straight up scams and all other 36 can't be questioned. You know what I'm saying? It's it's a reasonable inference, I think.
Mm-hmm. So that's part of right. So what I just put up just a second ago about Bull's fundraiser being critiqued or criticized or called into question, that's what not validating, verifying, vetting properly your whoever it is you're platforming. That's what a lack of accountability does. Because when you just open your platform up and say, hey, we are here, this, that, and the other. Irish Demon brought up a point about the 4 beardsmen. Myself, PhD Tony, JL Warren, and Irish Demon got together and had a 24-hour live stream that we did for charity. We did for the Trevor Project. We kept receipts. I sent a screenshot of my PayPal account to all 3 of the beardsmen. So they saw exactly how much money I had in my PayPal account before we took any donations in. And then I showed them the total of my bank account, and then I subtracted what I already had in there And then I showed them the receipt of me making the donation. I have those receipts still to this day. And this was over a year ago. And anybody who wants to see them, I can, I'm not going to put out the personal information portions of it. But yeah, I have the receipt that says, hey, we paid this money to the Trevor Foundation. Exactly what we said we do. And this is before, we were really we were all still kind of green in this community. I think Iris had just got over 1,000 subscribers. And he was the only one of the 4 of us that were monetized. So we were still very green in this whole situation, and we were able to, I think we got just over $1,000. I'd have to go back and double check, but we have the documentation, we have the receipts. We did that because we wanted to avoid situations like this. Nobody can call us into question. I mean, you can call us into question, but we can prove where the money went because we have the receipts. That's just what you do. I've never been part of a legitimate fundraiser where receipts weren't requested. It's not criticism. It's not unfair. It's not us being mean. That's just how those things are done. You have a fundraiser. You're raising money up for whatever. You provide the receipts.
But again, I think that's where this thing starts falling apart, because when people were asking for receipts, then you started getting the attack. They attack the person's motives. They have this, or they say the person has a bad character, as they did with Unirock, and the vilification. And they want to always keep the moral high ground. But the simple fact of the matter is that it shouldn't be. It should be commonplace to ask for receipts, and no one should feel offended by that.
Sure.
And
that's exactly what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
If you're going to have a fundraiser, it should be automatic that you're going to have to show receipts.
It's your obligation to actually show receipts.
Exactly.
It's not like you're not doing this for me. You told me you were doing this. This is to put it all to rest. That's the last part of the transaction. I gave you money. You show me the receipt. It shouldn't be any more complicated than that. But we've made it complicated because, again, if with this cancer thing, if we're taking it at face value, this woman, when she had that fundraiser, I don't think anybody can doubt she knew she didn't have cancer, right? So this was so we're talking about a scam outright, right? She knew it when they were having that fundraiser, when she got up there and made that speech about the doctor and all that stuff. We know everything she said at that point was false, and she had to know it's false because she was never even a patient at this cancer place. So she at that point knew what she was saying was false and was doing all that to get your money. Now, so at no point was she trying to provide really any receipts, right? Nothing that could be verified. So what I'm saying is that for someone to seemingly have that type of the ability to do something like that, my part is that I think our community was just too trusting of that structure over there, where we can allow somebody to literally just straight up lie to us and then make us feel bad to ask the person for a receipt, because there are people who like PhD Tony was just saying, was ostracized, kicked out of the core group,
right? Because
they just asked for a simple receipt. And
prove to me that the money went where it was supposed to go.
What? No.
Yeah, right. You're an asshole. You're an asshole. No, I'm not an asshole. I'm somebody who's going to hold you accountable. You said you needed $10,000 to pay your rent, move your ex to Georgia, and move to Florida. Show me those receipts.
How dare you ask me for a receipt? How dare you?
Right. Well, I no, look here. I didn't provide any money to any of those, so I don't have a dog in those fights. But if I did, if I'd have been a donor in any one of those things, I'd be like, yeah, I think I have a vested interest in where this fucking money goes. This isn't me giving $5 to the drunkard on the street, right? That's not what it is. Yeah. Like, I know when I walk past a junkie on the street, or somebody who comes up to me and says, "Hey, can I get $5 for some food?" Like, motherfucker, I know you're gonna buy beer with this or buy junk. I don't go, fuck. Here's your $5. Go fuck off. I have no vested interest. I know where that money's gonna go. Doesn't matter. Once that money leaves my hand, it's gone. Right? I have no right to say what that person should do with that money. However, in a fundraiser situation, Nate says, "Hey, I need hair transplants." Well, Nate, you better get some fucking hair transplants with this $5 I'm giving you, because if you don't, I want my $5 back. Just saying. Full Hammer 335 for $2 says it should be the beardsman and the gray dude. I take it.
No, that's a typo. He says it should be the 3 beardsmen and the gray dude. So he's referring to me, not genuinely being a beardsman, and fair criticism.
You have a beard. It's just the same color as your skin. Spurgy for 5 says, by Red's own admission, Steve, Chesh, Sean, and Reds all have debit cards to the PayPal account. Couldn't they all be culpable? So that's a very interesting. That's a very interesting point that a lot of people have brought up, that Sean Hufford did some accounting for some of the fundraisers, and then after Hufford tried to skate on out of here without being held to the fire, Ilya Moon came in and did it. Now, I for the life of me can't understand why Reds would allow other people to handle that type of stuff. It just seems there's too many fingers in the cookie jar, too many opportunities for people to take an extra chocolate chip here and there. When
the way I understood it is he did that to put a layer between him and any of the donators, so that way he could, because he was worried about getting doxxed with certain things. And I understand that, like if Sean's whole name is out there and his name's tied to his account, and if they centralized, to be honest, if they centralized a payment location, it's easier to properly account for it. So I don't necessarily have a problem, because you can see it come in. So he can document it from one account, even if it all goes to one PayPal and spreads out to everybody from there, or spreads out to where it's supposed to go from there, as long as that's happening. And as long as there's documentation to support that. So people who donate, if they ask a question, hey, did my money go where you said it was going to go? Say, yeah, it did. Here you go. Here's the receipt right here. So I don't mind it so much that it does that they do that, as long as the transparency is and moving forward, as long as anybody that does this has complete transparency, I will have no problem with it. Unless they defraud people again,
Right.
But
so
everybody's paying attention now. So good luck.
This is interesting here. Now, if this is true, and I'm not saying you're not telling me the truth, April, but if Chess just live and saying that they're going to be more vague about the purpose of future fundraisers, the simple fact that they're even entertaining the idea of having future fundraisers tells me that they haven't learned a fucking thing.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. Go on,
ahead,
Nate.
Tony. No, I was just saying that this is a pattern of abuse. And I think at this point in time, this may just become, it's just like with any other thing. It becomes a part of your life, right? You depend on these fundraisers because this is a source of income now. And I'm thinking that's probably what's going on here, is that you can't just stop all fundraisers, especially if how many have they had in the past 2 years? It was something like almost $100,000. So that's
crazy.
Yes, somebody's actually eating off this, depending on this type of. So that's why it's not about stopping. It's about rebranding, repurposing, and still being able to have that lifeline of support that they're now hooked on. So go ahead, PhD Tony. I'm sorry for that.
No. There are lags involved, and I've gotten angry for people who I thought were cutting me off. It's just the fact we're on different continents, so it's no big deal whatsoever. Also, I feel like you're the technical expert here. I really want to hear what you have to say. The reason I don't think that they're receiving material benefit. I think that they're receiving an emotional benefit. They like to be the saviors. They see themselves as heroes in their own personal narratives. And so they need causes. They need this sort of thing to happen so that they can be the good guys. That's the payoff that they're getting. They're not actually, they themselves, I don't think, I have yet to see any evidence that would lead me to conclude that they are taking any money from these accounts. But what they're getting from it is actually a psychological feedback of their own validity and their own worth. I think that, and it's their incapacity for self-criticism. It's a weakness, and it's not just you can say, somebody being empathic is a weakness, but this makes them vulnerable to scam artists. And it makes the people who follow them equally vulnerable, because they will say, you should donate to this, you should donate to that. Yes, there is no shame in actually applying a level of skepticism. applying a level of criticism. And anybody who had watched, Crafty Keeler reached out to me reasonably early on, and she said, look, this drama is blowing up. I don't want, this to go up, but you should be careful in your dealings with Ilya Moon. And I watched Ilya Moon, and if you actually pay attention in a large community like this, it is extremely easy to just gloss over what other people are doing. But once you started paying attention, a pattern of behavior began to emerge. And then you go, okay, I do need to be careful of that. But what I found was that the rest of the community was saying, well, this is drama. We're all adults. We shouldn't be involved in the drama. And so people were, instead of applying critical faculties and, stepping up and saying, okay, what's happening? People were saying, that's none of our business. We need to, we don't want to be associated with it, which is an instinct that I can understand, but it allows people to exploit gaps in information. Not everybody has the information that I have or the information the team has. It's only by coming together and discussing this, being open, looking at the total amount of information available, that we can actually hold people accountable for their actions. And the fact that people just said, nope, that's drama, I want nothing to do with it. Actually, they were being a bit negligent by saying that, because what was emerging was that a toxic personality was insinuating themselves deeper and deeper into the community and manipulating it for their own purpose. And we should be wary of that and protective of ourselves. And the people who are following us, the people, I don't have that many subscribers. I'm sure Nate has millions. He's brilliant. But we owe the people who follow us, the people who listen to us, a layer of protection. If we just step away and we say, no, that's just drama, I don't want to be involved in drama, which a lot of creators did, then we're actually leaving these toxic presences open to predating our followers. We're actually allowing them to operate. Anyway.
Well, I'd like to say that free money is a hell of a drug. And
it really is. Yeah, it really is.
Once you see that you can get it, one way, and that's why I say it continued to build up and up and up and up and up. And now it's come crashing down on everybody because the absurdity that it was getting to is now being exposed as the most absurd ones that have happened, which are the ones that have run for the most money, have turned out to be completely false.
And I think that they have two for Sean Hufford. They had two back to back for Sean Hufford.
Yeah,
and then they had a $10,000 one. And then the $10,000 one was like end all fundraisers. And then they had another fundraiser because they didn't make the 10,000.
Yeah.
So I think Team is right. They were definitely making some serious bank off of this because Sean was essentially living off of this, right? This was Sean's income for almost a year.
Sean,
there were some good ones too. I don't want to discount all of them. There were some good ones there for good causes. The Marvel Girl one was a good one for a good cause. There was a reason for doing that. But I think maybe what
she needed a bed, right? And the community got together and bought her a place to sleep, right?
Yeah, it was. I mean, we came together as a community and did something nice for her. She was in need and she deserved it. She had worked hard for the community, and we came together to show appreciation. There's nothing wrong with that.
That's healthy. That's
right. Yeah, and see, that's where I want to make sure and kind of drive this conversation is that we need to. A lot of people are gonna be like, "Well, man, this is just I'm never gonna do a fundraiser again, and I'm never gonna be involved in fundraisers again," and that's not necessarily where that needs to go. It definitely needs to be. You'd be hesitant for sure. Yeah, absolutely. The hangover from this is going to last a while. And if we can put together a real, like I said, it's about the transparency. If you're transparent with it, if you have no problem, opening up the books for it, why not? Yeah. If it's for a good cause, you have no problem saying, hey, look, I took in XYZ amount of dollars. We had this administration fee for this person taking care of the funds. And then this is where all the funds went. Boom. What's wrong with that?
I'll tell you what's wrong with that, because transparency, if transparency doesn't also involve criticism from outside sources,
Sure, and
transparency can be
absolutely.
absolutely your own narrative, and that's not being very transparent. So
Well,
I
no, that's what I'm
understand
saying. No, that's what I'm saying. Open up the books, right? So if you have the books,
yeah.
open,
Okay. Yeah. Open. I'm sorry. Maybe I misheard that. I was just saying, like, if someone comes along and they want to criticize it, and when I say criticize, I'm not saying criticize the reasoning for doing it. I'm saying criticize the financial records for it. You know, the obligations. In my opinion, that criticize the obligations. Are the obligations being met to the people that donated the money? If they are, then nobody should criticize anything else beyond that. Because if they're being open and honest, and no matter what they ask for, it's a free market. If people want to donate to it, then by all means, they should be allowed to donate to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean by best practices.
I'm sorry.
No,
yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying about best practices. And maybe that's something that needs to come out, and people just need to get together. If we're going to do it, we should do it this way, have this thing. And then people have confidence that there's a process, because right now we're kind of just shooting from the hip.
Right.
Yeah.
X Penguin 95 for £3 says, "Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you." And then we have Raw Parks for $5 says, "Does the community have an obligation now to check out all of Red's past fundraisers to see how far down the rot goes?" I would say yes, that we do have at least a vested interest in doing so.
Look, I would suggest from Red's perspective that it would be very healthy for him to do this himself without the need for any sort of external criticism. But I doubt that he's going to be inclined to accept any advice from me, whom he regards as an idiot. But it's just we have trusted people in charge of channels as though they actually know what they're doing. And with regard to all of this, with regard to everything that's going on. And the fact is that a lot of them don't know what they're doing and need guidance on how to appropriately deal with the monies that are being transferred through their channels. And this was the point that Nate was making. If $100,000 has been going through a channel, that's a serious amount of coin. People have been killed for a lot less. People have been spent serious amounts of time in jail for a lot less. And we need to start. And not everybody understands well how to deal with this stuff. It's not actually my skill. I'm not a businessman. And I don't consider myself appropriately skilled, which is why I was so relieved that the plot hole and JL were very, and the Johnny, you especially stood out in this regard, were particularly scrupulous and made it easy for me to just check the documents and look them over, which I appreciate. But not every channel is so blessed, and I think that we need to understand that people, even creators that we quite like. I quite like FTFE, but there are decisions that he makes that I don't necessarily agree with. That I think he could be exercising better judgment, and that's okay. He's a different person from what I am. Mm-hmm. But then I need to ask myself the question: okay, so is this content creator that I'm looking at, should they be trusted with $10,000, $12,000 to make sure that not that they're going to steal it? I don't believe that. I don't believe that of FTFE certainly, but I think that FTFE could be scammed. Is my bottom line. I was
going to say, and not to say that this of FTFE, but to anybody that's put in that position, you have to find somebody who will critically think and will not allow the money to go anywhere but where it's said. And right. I'm not saying that of FTFE because I'm not saying that he could be scammed or not be scammed. Anybody could with enough manipulation, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people. You might not be able to, but who knows what to say, what type of manipulation you must go through for each person to end up believing something or be scammed. But for anybody that's put in a position to do something like the escrow, like what Vishanti is showing here for that $2.
Vishanti, $2 escrow, the solution.
Yeah, I agree with that. And here I'll be one of the first people to say, if we have to get a little consensus group that people can put together and trust for
the
doing
trustees,
like that. And just have an informal group to say, hey, look, we're 3 people that will come together. We'll scrutinize it together. We'll do it, we'll do it completely open and honest. And the moment that we have found this to be true, and, we'll take, ethical oaths, just like Nate was saying in the video that he shared with me earlier. He said, I would never release your public information. That's completely unethical. I think what Nate's trying to express there is that he's trying to get to the bottom of the facts, not the bottom of your personal information, to the bottom of the facts. He's trying to get come to a conclusion on an investigation. He's not interested in your personal information, and there needs to be a level of trust with certain people. Now, I'm not even saying that Nate should be the guy to do it, or even myself or Johnny, but if there was a group that was kind of elected by the community to oversee things like this, I don't think that would be a bad idea at all.
No, I think it's actually a really good idea going forward, having a group of trustees. Absolutely. And, it's a really good idea. Lord Illuminous Pooh for $5 says, Team FTFE, everyone, trust is not a sin, but never get played twice.
Agreed.
Yes, agreed. But now, again, someone who was just saying how far down the rabbit hole does this go? I honestly believe this is probably, I'm not sure if it's systemic or not, but these last 2 were pretty brazen, right? It's because Sean Hufford, unless this guy was like the dumbest tenant ever in the world, he doesn't know when the lease starts, doesn't know when it ends, doesn't know how much his rent is, and needs $10,000 to pay over $1,500 buyoff costs. It's just hard to believe that if this was just some happenstance thing. And now with Ilya Moon, who absolutely knew she didn't have cancer when she said she did to get the money, it's is it the issue now comes of one of trust, but now it's trust of our own, because I disagree with you guys on one point, and that is, what was this so obvious that people should have just realized it? And I don't think it was. I think Red's rhetoric, FTFE, and all these people are friends. All these people are acquaintances. And we're on the other side of that equation, right? A lot of these people hate my guts, for instance. But if I was on that side and one of my friends said they needed money for cancer treatments, I would believe them. And if they handed me a receipt, I wouldn't be taking it to the hospital, right? I wouldn't be checking on it in that way. I would believe it, right? And if someone then points out some issues to it, then that's when I may be investigated. But generally, on his face, I'm going to defend people against that too. If somebody says they're scamming, I'm going to say, no, they're not scamming. They get a receipt. What more do you want from them? The person does have cancer. So I do understand that. But I don't believe you can hold that position when. But
doesn't there come a point in time? Doesn't there come a point in time in that whole story? Because there's a lot of things that. Okay, so look, none of us here are medical doctors, correct? I'm not speaking for anybody.
Yes.
Right. But we've all at least experienced cancer in some way, shape, or form. Not saying we've had cancer, but we've known somebody who has had cancer, or we know at least a little bit about how cancer works, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when somebody says they have osteosarcoma, those are words that, unless you actually, if you're a cancer expert or not, you hear, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
What's the first thing that you're going to do when somebody says, hey, I have osteosarcoma, and you don't know what the fuck it is?
You're going to look it up.
Yeah. Exactly. You're going to look it up, and you're going to do some basic research. I mean, I don't think that's, especially if it's
ready to look it up, to be honest with you.
Well, it's bone cancer, right? So it's bone cancer. That's what osteosarcoma is.
Okay.
And it's a particularly nasty cancer. And this is the thing. So if I have a friend who comes to me and says, hey, I've got this cancer, blah, 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 I'm going to look it up because I want to know more about it so that I can figure out how I can best help my friend. You know what I mean? Like, I want to know what he's going to be going through or what she's going to be going through and what I can do to help alleviate symptoms, help getting to and from hospital, whatever, just to have a basic understanding of what I can expect to happen to my friend. That just seems reasonable to me. Am I wrong? Is that an unreasonable?
No, I don't think you are being unreasonable, but I think that you both make a point. And the issue that I have with, it just shouldn't be the case that, the thing is, from Nate's perspective, I can see Nate's point. But the question I would ask, if a friend came to me and said, look, I need this money, we should hold a fundraiser for it. And they're my friend. Okay, I believe them. But it's not my money they're asking for. They're asking for somebody else's money.
Right.
And at that point, I have a responsibility not just to my friend, but to the other people. Also, if my position is that if Reds and his crew had looked objectively at the Ilya Moon, the circumstances around Ilya Moon, they would have seen that she was confecting tragedy and drama and conflict, and that she was creating this maelstrom that she could manipulate. She got them outraged against Crafty. She got them outraged against Jessica. She got them outraged against me. Other people in the community have suffered from being targeted by these people.
Mm-hmm.
They were told that if they weren't supporting Ilya, and they were yelled at, they were told, if you're not on our side, if you're not down for this, if you're not publicly criticizing these people, then you're a bad friend.
Right.
And you look at that and you go, actually, that person is a toxic and malignant influence in my life. And no, I'm not going to take their fucking word for it. No, I'm not going to be used in that way. And that's where I'm coming from, Nate, is that they should have, if they were objective about it, if they said, look, here's a conflict between two people I don't know that well. And that's when Keela came to me and she said she's having an argument with Ilya, I've gone, well, I don't know what that argument's about. I don't know who said what. I don't know who triggered whom. And I said, okay, so I'm your friend. I'm going to be here for you, but I'm not going to, commit at this point. And eventually, the attacks from Ilya's side, and it wasn't just against Keela, it was person after person whom I liked in the community, were just being fucking steamrolled. And I've just gone, okay, so, there's a 50-50 chance in the Keela-Ilya. Well, 25, 50. 25% it's Keela's fault, 25% it's Ilya's fault, 50% that they both just robbed one another the wrong way. But then you apply that to multiple other conflicts and you just go, okay, I know
what's the common what's the common denominator. Well, so here's where I want to interject really quick. Quick, Jessica, speaking of people, Jessica G for 5 says this community has been suffering cancer for years. Its technical name is Reds, Rhetoric, and Cheshire Vic. That's not Latin enough, but we'll accept it. So here's what I want to say. And Nate, I understand where you're coming from, right? I understand that, hey, my friend's coming to me and saying they have this, they have that, right? But Red's rhetoric had already been called into question. He had been called into question for a lot of things when it comes to fundraisers with the Sean Hufford situation. This wasn't the first time that he had been a target of criticism from other people about fundraisers.
Yeah. No, I get it. It's really about the relationships that I think they've built over there versus the relationships with those of the outside group, because they were casting people out of that core group, whoever was making, if somebody was questioning it, and that gets more allegiance, right? Like PhD Tony said, I didn't have a problem with, I had a problem with Y, but then X comes and says, now I got a problem with X too, because it's kind of, kicking you out of that core group. But I don't know. I just feel that sometimes we're harsher on our criticisms than the reality of our social relationships, right? And I do think if a friend of mine if somebody who was really a friend of mine was really to ask me, it's gonna, I was even thinking about when you gave your example about looking up the cancer. I rarely do something like that. That's not something I do for all my friends. It's really more of a sympathy. Oh my God, explain to me, how does it make you feel? Because I'm really not a doctor. Maybe in one instance I may look it up, but generally I'm just, I'm really trying to give them empathy for their experiences. So I don't know. I want to be fair to say this was a scam. But I do understand the backside where it'll be harder for me. It's going to be harder for me personally to be convinced that my friend is trying to scam me, right? It's going if Ilya was my friend, and you told me that this was a scam, it's going to be hard. I'm going to need a lot of evidence to convince me that it was not. Because
yeah, but here's the thing. I'm not necessarily saying that they should have said, "Hey, this is going to be a scam." I think what would have been more intelligent would have been, "Hey, you need this money for your cancer treatments or whatever. Cool. Give me the name of the hospital. That way, we can tell people to send their donations on your behalf." You can do that, right? You can say, "I'm not giving any information, but I'm sending this money on so and so's behalf."
Yeah, and that's best practices, right? That's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Best practices. I think that we should have a list of best practices because right now nobody really knows how to hold a fundraiser, right? Send money to PayPal, send money to GoFundMe, send money to this. But if we did have some best practices, hey, if you're going to hold a GoFundMe, number one, it should go through if you're going to hold the fundraiser, it should go through GoFundMe so we can see how much you raise, how many of the donors were. And it has the protection of GoFundMe So those type of things, we need to see receipts within a certain time period. We're asking for receipts for this last two from a year ago, right? Years ago, things happened. So maybe we should have a 30-day time frame. If you're going to spend money, 30, obviously within reason and depending on the GoFundMe.
Sure.
But I think we can put reasonable restrictions in there that are not too crazy that everybody can go with. And if you give to something like that, that something like that, you have the confidence to know that has been set up, that those are something that was thought into and that should be effective.
Nerd Angle for $4.99 says these two scams, more evidence of the short lifespan of conspiracies. Something cracks eventually.
So hey, what if flat Earth never died? What would even people be seeing stuff like this? Remember a long time ago we all talked about it and we're making comments about how once the actual flat earthers were gone, this community would begin turning on itself. And we saw it happen one at a time. It's happened over and over and over again. When there was something to feed on, nobody fed on each other. But then when all that goes away, now you're looking at the closest source of sustenance for your channel, for your, the value of your entertainment that you put out, and you start turning on each other. And that's absolutely happened. But had Flat Earth not died, would this have even come to light? We would have continued on. They would have still been doing live streams all the time. They would have still been doing that once a month fundraiser to raise for some reason. Somebody needs something every month. Man, me and Fight used to talk about it all the time. Fight. Let me tell you all about Fight a little bit. Him and I would sit in the background and go, what the fuck? Why are they doing another fundraiser? Another one. I mean, to his credit, he's gotten associated with several of the fundraisers, but I don't think that he ever went in with malicious intent on any of them. But because me and him would talk about it like, these motherfuckers right here doing another one. Like, give me a break. I just saw it as this progressive desire to feed whatever it was that they were feeding, but the fact that it was benefiting them financially in whatever way, whether it was to get new camera equipment or, to help this person do this or help, it just started becoming something that they fed off of, that they said, oh, I need this. No big deal. Guess what we'll do? We'll fundraise, hey, it worked the last 5 times. It's going to work this time too. And that's unfortunate. That's where I said I saw it becoming a problem from my own perspective. And then when the $10,000 thing hit, I think that was the last one that I was actually a part of. And only because I kept calling Sean out and saying, we don't need to be asking for this amount of money, guys. Oh, well, they didn't want to hear that. Every time I would say something, they'd read out a chat from the audience or read out a super chat or change the subject. And you're like, come on, man. I know what I'm talking about, guys. I know what y'all are the ones that are being illogical. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I think that I think the plot hole raises a very good point that in fact they did benefit financially from these fundraisers. There were donations to them. They were achieving watch hours. They were getting, they were building their channel and channel participation, etc. So there was a material benefit to them. But I think that most of it was social and psychological. It cast them in a particular light, and it built into a self-image that they had constructed for themselves. They were feeding their egos off this infrastructure with no controls on it, with no feedback that would keep it in reasonable bounds, and other people came along who could take advantage of that, as is natural. I would be a lot more forgiving of Reds and Vic and so on if they were capable of admitting an error and moving on, but they don't seem to be. And they need, the people who participated in this really do need to consider not just the fundraiser, but all of the other attacks on social media. All of this stuff needs to because not only did they do it themselves, but they dragged other people into it. Other people in this community were convinced to ostracize Keela, to ostracize Jessica, to remove their attachment from me. I've noticed a sharp decline in my viewership since I came out and criticized Reds a few weeks ago. More than half of my views have disappeared.
Wow.
It happened, but it's just a fact of life. Reds has been in this community longer than I am. I'm not that big a content provider, and that's what it's going to be. But I don't care because this is just a hobby as far as I'm concerned. But Reds is in it because he's emotionally dependent on it. And you always need to be careful of somebody when you're attacking something when you're criticizing or analyzing something they're emotionally dependent on. They become violently protective of it. And that's the behavior we're seeing from Reds. Ideally, Reds and Vic would assess their behavior and assess the relationship they have with the forum. But Daniel Cooper asked, "Are you sure it's not my yawn?" Could well be. Actually, I am pretty fucking boring. And here they come. They're piling on now. But I just think that we need to, we need to be able to self-criticize and self-analyze. And I mean, I do appreciate Nate pushing back on sort of the arguments that I'm presenting and say that he disagrees and presenting his side of what's going on. Because if it just turns into an echo chamber, if nobody if nobody provides any check, I myself am haunted by this Jessica G chick who comes around as soon as my fucking ego is going anywhere. There are a bunch of people reminding me. But anyway,
truthfully speaking, I've known Tony for quite a while now, and before Jessica G was coming around, he did have hair. Lots of it.
It was
flowing.
It was like the Fabio. I don't know if you guys might be too young. People in the chat might be too young to remember Fabio, but like him in the 80s when he had that really long flowing hair. That was PhD Tony just 2 years ago.
People might not be old enough to remember when Tony's YouTube name was not PhD Tony, but Tony the Hair.
Yeah.
That was me. It's sort of it should be that we're in this all to have fun, that I'm trying to educate people, and occasionally I can accidentally be entertaining. It can happen when I get fired up.
Yes, he fucking can.
Yes, I fucking can. But people I think are using this as their income and their validation in very negative ways. Team is a businessman. He looks at it as a business, and he is a very entertaining businessman. But his attitude seems pretty
saying I'm
grounded.
funny looking? Is that what you're saying?
Sounds like exactly what you're saying.
That's exactly what I was saying. Yep. And I would
Fucked up.
how are you going to counter that? Where's your objective evidence, goofball?
You're jealous of the hair and the gap. You are jealous of the gap.
Two-dimensional twat. Texan twat.
I'm working on my Michael Strahan, okay? Nate, I'm working on my Michael Strahan.
All right,
they
so here we are.
Me for trying to be cool.
Well, yeah, of course. So here we are. It's almost 2.5 hours into this, and we've done a lot of. I think we've done a lot of venting. We've talked a lot about the goings on, what happens, the things that have led up to it. Nate, if you would like, I am putting together a video, but I would like to get you on that one for a bit, kind of something we can post multiple places, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just going over some of the finer points of what was going on in the background, to get as many people involved with that video as they want, right? Anybody who says, hey, I had some, this is whatever, whoever wants to be involved with it, more than happy to put that together to kind of get this going. If you would like to be involved, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm just putting together my take, really just the timeline of the events of kind of how I get involved, and I think it's really toward the end of the Sean Hufford thing to the beginning of this one. But I really want to also take just a look, because I want my video to kind of serve two purposes: one, as a cautionary tale, but then second, to give some reasonable reactions of which should be done in the future to avoid this. And I think if that will give it a little bit more staying power than just telling a story, because telling a story is one thing, but giving a solution is a better is a better form for the video. So I agree.
PhD Tony hates literature for £2. Says, team, give us a whistle.
That's €2.
I'm sorry.
It is €2.
It's €2. You know what? This StreamYard doesn't give me a better. Oh, hang on. Wait. Let me know when you're ready.
Filter out. Hold on, because my noise filter blocks out my whistle, and I don't want y'all to say, I wasn't whistling when I actually was. So here we are. Okay, so we're gonna assume it's Nate's birthday, and I'm gonna whistle you happy birthday, Nate. Okay, don't worry.
All right.
Don't feel too flattered. Okay. Let me think how the song goes.
Just try and imagine him in a Marilyn Monroe dress.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm pushing it down as the air is blowing it up. Okay, here we go.
Not the same movie, but whatever.
Well, I'm doing that anyway. Oh man, that was beautiful.
Yep. I saw the assist. I saw the assist.
There was no assist. No assist.
No assist.
No assist. It was hilarious though on the last Whiskey Wednesday that I was on, that I totally fooled Team twice. He thought he whistled twice. It was so good.
I've never been fooled in my life, guys.
Well, you see, I can't whistle at all, ever, never in my life. But having a PhD, I'm smart enough not to fucking try and humiliate myself in public.
Hey, Nate, let me tell you something.
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Ahead,
Jessica G for 2 American says the noise filter excuse in 2021. That's so 2020.
Hold on, I just want to make sure. Is that the same Jessica G, the one that was calling this out for all on Twitter?
Yeah,
Jessica G was right. Jessica G was absolutely right. People saying, I saw them calling you crazy, Jessica G. You were right.
Jessica G has been talking about this and for the better part of a year. She warned me about, she was one of the people who warned me about Ilya Moon, because she started out as a friend of Ilya Moon, trying to sort of do the diplomacy thing between Ilya and Keeler. And, and Jessica was on point with a lot of this stuff. And it took her about 2 minutes from Ilya releasing releasing that fake receipt to say, this is a fake. Here's a copy I've done that's much better, and it's still a fake. Yeah. She was on top of this, and she was trying to tell the community, but the community would not listen to her.
They were overshadowing. Yeah. Bitwise79 for $2 says, I can't swim. Must be the noise gate on my mic. True story.
Yo, hold on. Huge difference. Huge difference.
Jane Doe for $4.99 says, oh, there you go. Jane Doe for $4.99 says, excellent stream tonight, guys. Very informative, and it was a great way to end an otherwise crappy Monday. Well, thank you for hanging out, Jane Doe. I appreciate
Love you,
it.
Jane Doe.
Hey, listen, guys, I 12 o'clock I have to run, but I want to say thank you guys so much and thanks again for having me. It's like coming to a weekly stream now. But I always have a lot of great fun when I'm coming here. So
you know what? Next time I want to get you on, or I want to do for something fun and just whatever. I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to be the here's another bullshit fundraiser that we exposed.
We're getting good at them. You know what? Like I was saying the other day, it took 1 year to get the first one, then it took now a week. So the next one's going to be like a couple of hours. We got one coming out tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm going to call you here in about 20 minutes with the one. We're going to be done.
Well, listen, you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you guys next time.
All right. Thank you, Nate.
Take care.
All right. Team nearly whistled once for $5 not American dollars says, I'm still waiting. No name change required today.
Yeah, whatever. It was beautiful on my end. I have noise canceling headphones, so it blocked out all the sound. All I heard was the high pitched squeal of the air rushing between my teeth.
Oh man. All right. So here's the thing. We have a lot of healing that has to be done in this community. We need to remember that infighting is not always a bad thing. Sometimes it's necessary. Brothers fight, sisters fight, siblings fight. It happens. Family fights, everybody. Okay? Doesn't mean that we have to let that be what defines us. Oh, Commander Darklight for Aussie 5 says, I suck at COD. It must be the noise gate on my mic.
No, it's not.
Okay. I want to address something that has been boiling in the chat. And I really feel bad for addressing it, but I feel that it needs to be addressed because it's gotten to it's getting to a ridiculous proportion. So a Marvel girl came in here today and she was making quite skeptical noises about Nate being a lawyer. She was also making references to a particular person having a criminal record. Now, this is a person completely unrelated to tonight's proceedings, but she knew that it was a friend of Crafty Keeler's, so she was escalating the situation, and I deleted some of her comments, and it got to a point where she accused Keeler of being as bad as Ilya, so I timed her out. Those were my decisions, and I stand by them, because I don't think that this stream was supposed to be about accusing third parties of crimes. Now, a Marvel girl left in a huff, calling me a simp on her way out. She's not the first. I doubt she'll be the last to use that name for me.
You're my simp.
That's supposed to be between us, team. You promised you wouldn't tell in public. But the
hashtag exposed.
But it has led some of the Marvel girls' friends to lay into Crafty Keeler, and I would really recommend that people refrain from doing that. a Marvel girl came in here and was inflammatory. Her timeout was my decision. Keela came to the same conclusion, but she was slower on the button than I was. Now, please, if you want to go and attack Keela, she's a big girl. She can certainly handle herself. But why? Why are you here attacking a mod? Whining about why somebody, one of your friends got timed out. She got timed out because she just accused in a public thread Crafty Keela of being a fraud, a liar, and a fake cancer survivor with absolutely no evidence whatsoever. That's an abusive comment. I'm going to time it out all the time. Don't whine about it. If you're going to throw out that sort of bullshit, don't be unhappy when it gets deleted, and don't be unhappy if you get untimed about it after it. Just grow up.
Leroy R53 for 5 says Marvel Girl be silly. Look, here's the thing. I don't want to foster a negative interactions with the community. I would rather us, we can have issues, right? We can have personal issues, and I get it. Not everybody's going to get along. Not everybody's going to like me, and that's fine. It's cool. Not everybody's going to like everybody in the side chat. I get it. I just ask that you keep your conversations respectful. Keep them, it's okay to air some grievances. It's okay to be a little angry and a little passionate from time to time. That's okay. But calling somebody Ilya Moon, that was a little mean, seeing as how, we just talked about how Ilya Moon did one of the most egregious things you can do, faking cancer. That's just, golly. Leroy R53 for 5 says, I hear you, Johnny. Thank you, Leroy. But yeah, here's the thing. I want everybody to come. I want everybody to be able to come here and have a good time. I know I've kind of turned into a news channel about the goings on in the community, and I'm good with that, right? So I get to actually use my degree in, so to speak. I have a degree in English with a minor in communications. So I did a lot of this stuff in college. And you get to flex that a little bit, which is cool. But I don't want to do that to get people to fight. I don't want to get people angry with each other. I want people to be able to come to this channel and air their grievances and, hey, this is the issue that I have. Awesome. We can get it out and we can talk about it, and then we can move on from it. We can, even if it's, hey, we'll shake hands to agree to disagree. And I know it's a different channel. Sorry, Creaky. Sorry. Golly.
Crafty.
Baldy Cats. That's one. Creaky and Baldy Cats agree to disagree. But shake hands, agree to disagree.
Over there.
I know those guys. My goodness. But let's not be that. Let's be better than what we have seen. Let's not be that toxic community anymore. Let's not be that community that's going to sit there and pick at each other.
Well, can I add to that real quick?
Sure.
Not let's just do better outside on the surface. Let's be better internally. Mm-hmm. If you think you're going to be one of those people that needs to run a fundraiser, if you need help, you need help. Hey, I'm not for helping somebody out. Okay. I mean, I'm not for not helping somebody out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm all for helping a legitimate person who needs help, and we come together and help them out. I'm okay with that. But any person that's prepared to do that publicly needs to be prepared to be scrutinized privately. And it might include things that might feel personal. So when we say let's be better than that, let's really get a grasp on what that means to be better. Let's stop acting as if the fundraisers are a free pass to get something, even if that's what you need. Let's go ahead and say that if you're going to do that, by being better, we expect complete transparency and showing of receipts. I'm good with that. I'm all behind that 100%. And I'll even help people out.
Absolutely. There we go. Just be better. Let's do it. Let's make the commitment to be better. And like I said, I don't expect everybody to get along all the time, right? PhD Tony and I don't get along all the time. It's very rare when we're at cross with each other. Very rare. Mm-hmm. But, hey, I don't agree with this. I don't agree with that. And then we talk it out, and then we're done with it. You know,
you do know why he doesn't argue back with you, right? Because you don't have a PhD and it's not worth his time.
Exactly. Yeah, I know.
Just saying.
I know. I get it. Yeah,
it's sad, but I allow
don't
you
hate
to.
literature.
Yeah, I do hate literature. No, actually, I want to clarify for once and for all. I don't hate all literature, just the bits of it that I've read.
Just the ones with words.
Just the literature that has words.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Anyway, I tell you what, let's leave this here. I don't know if I'm going to do a live stream tomorrow or not, because this has been pretty taxing, and Mondays are supposed to be my family nights and family days. I'm sure you guys saw my one of my daughters come down here. But we'll see. Maybe I'll do one. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Wednesday, baby.
Whiskey Wednesday, and it is Cinco de Mayo. So
Cinco de Mayo, Whiskey Wednesday. Hey, can I make that quick announcement real quick about that new channel I'm working on with Conspiracy Cats and Tau City Alpha real quick?
No.
Okay, thank you.
I'm just kidding.
Yes, I made this announcement on my channel, and I want to go ahead and reiterate it here for anybody that might not have been there during the time. Me, Conspiracy Cats, and Tau City Alpha are coming together to do work on a project that's going to be really fucking amazing. So y'all stay tuned for that. I know y'all love Conspiracy Cats. I know y'all love Tau City Alpha, and I know for a fucking fact that you love The Gap. So keep it real. We'll see you in the future on one of those videos that Tau puts together for us.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, I think.
Yes.
All right. PhD Tony Hates Literature is going to be, I'm telling you, Tony, that needs to be your next channel, because the way you went off on Lord of the Rings and Stephen King and all, that was brilliant.
Okay.
That was good. You will have more followers and more subscribers. You'll make freaking Team Skeptic look like he does in real life, 2-dimensional. I'm telling you, it was great.
I'm getting a lot of positive feedback on that particular concept, so I will set it up.
Now, I do want to apologize to Quitties, the sprinkler of titties, and Christ Punter. They were both supposed to offer a little bit more of the backstory on what on the whole Ilya Moon situation. Those two, I spent a lot of time in, interviewing and getting some background information on some other things that are happening, that it just made everything that Ilya was doing just that more egregious. As if faking cancer isn't egregious enough. She still to this day has outstanding debts with people in her former channel or her current channel, but whatever. It's just the fact that she's getting, she's borrowing all this money from all these people and then still holds this fundraiser for her cancer payments. It's just there's a pattern of behavior there that I think a psychologist needs to sit down and with her and kind of diagnose her. But my goodness, there's just so much there's a lot in the background, which is one of the reasons why I want to do that video, kind of giving everybody context, and then the whole where do we go from here. So that being said, I think it's time to say goodbye, everybody. Okay, well, that was good.
Goodbye, everyone.
Mayo. Cinco de Mayo.
Yes, be sure to check out Team Skeptics on Whiskey Wednesday. Apparently, they start controversy. I don't know. I have no idea what that's about.
That has never happened on my channel, not intentionally, but maybe it has happened a little bit because of the whiskey. I don't know. Hey, hold on. I'm gonna call it right now. I know who to fucking blame. I think he may be out there. Let me check, see if he's out in the chat right now. He was there earlier. Oh, no, he's not in it. Schrodinger's cat. He's the one that was responsible because he left me alone on a Whiskey Wednesday getting drunk. And without my handler there to calm me the fuck down, I ended up causing too much controversy, and all this shit came out now in a couple of weeks. And that's crazy, but whatever.
Oh, I do want to make one more little thing. I put out a video today, the As the Plot Thickens news, and I it was look, I'm not gonna make excuses. I put the advert for the like, share, subscribe, and whatnot after the Michael Collins tribute. I wasn't thinking. Like I said, no excuses. I shouldn't have done it. It was in poor taste. I apologize for anybody if I hurt your feelings or if I offended you in any shape or way. I just wasn't thinking. Like I said, I apologize. Michael Collins definitely deserves a lot more respect than that. So in the future, I'll make sure and go back and actually have a little bit more oversight in my choices. So there you go. All right, there we are, everybody. Let's see how we can move on and be better people. We'll see you next time. I'm Johnny O. Let's see your finger guns, baby.